Oh, I hit the button.
We are live, everybody. The Indie Council is in session. Welcome. This is a place for the leading voices from across the industry to gather to talk news, titles, and everything indie. I'm your master of ceremonies, Jill Grote, the Indie Informer, and today we got a lot of people around the table. Not only the top four, but we have a new member coming out of the shadows. So, starting with doing everything from hosting to managing outreach at Ivy Road, Soft Not Week, Geeks and Grounds, and Wholesome Games. It's Jenny Wyndham.
Hello.
I couldn't put all of your titles in here and still make it a coherent sentence.
Yeah, it's a little bit absurd. I just hang out.
You do a lot, Jenny.
Things.
Pen to Pixels creator and also podcasting on MinMax, the Gangcast, Pew Pew Bang, and here, Janet Garcia. I feel like you've got one more podcast. You've got so
I'm kind
many
of on
podcasts,
Remap
Janet.
Radio, but you know, that's like that's also another one. I think
the
those are all
list
of them
grows
so far.
every week with Janet.
Every week,
Yeah.
she just adds another podcast. Like, what are
Hello.
you doing, Janet?
Excited to
But-
be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad that you could be with all of everything you've got going on in your schedule. And finally back after creating and or fighting tornadoes, account executive at Vicarious PR and 6-1 Indie creative director, Mike Townsrow.
Jenny, would you be mad if I use the Wanderstop mug for Celsius?
Don't tell
my
me. Don't. No,
Ew.
hide it. I'm going to do an unboxing. You can't show me.
All right, well,
I
I'll
would
show you
not
this
be
piece.
mad.
This piece is nice.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Oh my gosh.
There we
We'll
go.
This is like the people that
Clearly
put
learned my
liquor
lesson
in the
about the themes of the
camelback.
game.
You know, kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Can we do a Wanderstop
ASMR
playthrough
here.
where we try to
shit.
make a Celsius?
It is very apropos for the game to pour over top of the mug and it spills
Yeah.
everywhere though.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's
Yeah,
on
pretty
brand.
much.
I nailed it. I
Inspired.
got that achievement.
I got that achievement 100%. And stepping out into the light for the first time, video game lawyer at Voyeur Law, MinMax community manager, and Pew Pew Bang co-host, Haley MacLean.
Hi,
Hello, Haley.
thanks for
How are
having
you?
me. Good.
Woo!
I clap for. I'm not clapping for myself. I'm excited.
He's like,
Everybody
yeah,
else, get out of
awesome.
here. Get out of my shot, please. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm glad that you came. It was sort of a last minute, like, hey, you want to just jump on? I mean, it wasn't last minute that we asked you. We did ask you a little bit ago, but it's haphazard the way that we ask anybody onto the show. It's not like an official, like,
The
everybody
council
is
has sent a
comfortable and
dove.
safe.
and-
Yeah,
like
the
a
council
running
kind of
guest list.
summons you. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
official
when-
summons in the mail, in the snail mail.
Yeah. When we feel like
We should
we
start doing
need
that.
someone to step in
Mhm.
and shine a light, and we're like, this seems like a good time for Haley to come in.
Yeah.
Indie news moves fast. I get it. Like one day you'll be like, "Oh, this will be good." The next day, 15 indies get announced, and you have to change everything.
Yeah.
So,
And then we
I
just
get
have
it.
to murder people we've asked on here, which is unfortunate. but
Oh, I didn't know that. Janet didn't mention that.
I'm glad
part.
that we brought you on. So, as tradition dictates, anyone who is newly joining the council gets to answer a bunch of would you rather questions. They're a lot of fun for us. I hope for you, but we'll see. You know, they tend to be questions that when you hear them, you're going to go, oh, dang, what did I get into? So, Haley, are you ready for your would you rather questions?
I am. You've gassed them up. So
I've got 3. It's not a
That's-
ton. So you've got 3 you're going to go through.
okay, love it.
I hope they're not disappointing. I'm going to be sad if they are. Haley, imagine you're in a fancy candlelit restaurant.
Ooh.
You're dressed to impress. There's a bouquet of flowers in the center of the table, obscuring who's sitting across from you. When you move that vase, who is longingly looking back at you? Is it Mewtwo or Bob Berquist from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater?
How do you know my 2 favorite men of all time? Mewtwo and Bob Burquist.
There are only 2 genders.
There's only 2.
There's only 2. Oh, wow, this is hard. Is it Mewtwo from the original Pokemon movie, Mewtwo, or
It's-
like the newer, kind of more 3D model-y weird one?
Well, I feel like now you've made it obvious
Yeah,
which
you
one it
kind of
has to
showed
be.
your
Yeah,
hand
you
there,
did.
Haley.
Yeah, I mean, is it the really really sexy 2D animated one or the ugly 3D one?
Right. I think it's the sexy one, and
Sexy,
also
2D.
Bob
Okay.
has his plaid shirt on,
Oh,
just to make it harder.
I'll go with the human being because I'm at a restaurant. You know, Mewtwo's for
But he's
not
super
not in public.
lo-fi. It's not like high definition human. It is a lo-fi.
It's a VHS
Yeah.
Mewtwo. I'll still go with Bob Burnquist, and then
Okay.
maybe when I won't go home with Bob, and I'll call Mewtwo when I get home. Then
What if it's the Mewtwo that's actually Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? He's
wait,
technically
what?
human.
There's a crossover. Interesting.
How
Isn't
is
that
he?
the- I don't know.
Is
That-
it the
that
same
actor.
voice actor
I think so.
for Mewtwo? Oh wow, it is 90% voice with that guy. Well, that's a lie. It's other things. Anyways, answer complete.
Head,
Guys,
nose.
you know what it is. Y'all know what it is.
You know what it is. You know.
I feel like we've gotten to know you a lot just in this first question, but we do have two more.
Okay,
Uh,
perfect.
number 2. One of your clients requests a trial by combat. Who is your
Ah.
chosen champion? Is it the Fox from Tunic or Watcher from 1,000 Times Resist?
Oh wow, Watcher probably. 'Cause-
Okay, walk me through it because we need to understand your logic.
I mean, the first 5 seconds of that game, she's killing somebody, so she's already, you
This
know,
is true.
she's on it. She's on point. She's got that sword is almost like a shard of metal. It's like I know that's what all swords are now that I say that out loud, but that one looks like way more like like
I wasn't
like
gonna say anything.
like a giant shard. Tunic Fox is giving, yeah, like he'd be at your ankles slashing back and forth,
Okay,
and you'd kind
okay.
of be like, all right, that's not. But like if Watcher tried to kill me, I'd actually be a lot more nervous. So my foes should be nervous too. That's why I gotta go with Watcher.
It's good logic.
I also
Good
don't
logic.
want the Tunic Wolf to get killed, and Watcher might get killed. Not that I don't like Watcher, but it's an animal. I feel like he can get arrested.
We can't let this happen. The Fox needs to stay alive. Everyone needs to be okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Third question. And this usually is the hardest and the one that says something about you as a person,
Okay.
even though I feel like we've gotten a lot of answers. You have the power to bring back E3. But if
my
you
God.
do, you have to attend it with Irene, the sewing instructor.
Oh my god.
Do you resurrect the show or not?
Would you guys all come too, or would I just be walking the halls with
I mean, it would
Irene?
be everyone would be loud. Everyone would be loud. It would be like popping again. It'd be popular. It'd be everything everybody ever wanted E3 to be. But you constantly have Irene looking over your shoulder, judging your.
She's
judging
gotta be
your
Can we
like,
get a quick lore background
Lore?
on Irene?
A lore?
Go
the
ahead,
every
Haley.
single show.
yeah,
that
it
I
sounds like
did.
it's my ex or something. My ex Irene.
Or people
she
are like,
was-
"Oh my god, I didn't play that indie game. What a game! They all know it. What's going on?"
Irene was my sewing teacher when I was younger, and she was just a B word. She was so mean. You couldn't eat lunch in her house. You'd have to go stand outside and eat lunch. I would go there for like a lunch program, sewing class, and it would be winter in Canada. And I'd be outside eating a sandwich, like in the snow. And then you come back in, and we did sewing in her attic, and it was actually kind of nicely laid out with all the sewing machines and stuff. But if you touched one of the walls, she was very weird about like, don't touch my walls. So like if you leaned against the wall, she'd be like,
weird.
don't touch that wall, and she'd scream at us. And then one time I sewed pajamas, and I used little angel fabric, and I sewed it upside down, and the angels were going downward. And she goes, "All your angels are going to hell." And I was like,
you're describing a sweatshop or like a kidnapping.
I might have been at a lunch program sweatshop.
Okay.
It's like
Oh,
I went to a
buddy.
schoolyard.
So everyone's aware. This is who Haley would have to be constantly attached to going to E3 every year.
I would bring back E3 and simply not go, and I'd fall on that sword so everybody else could continue to enjoy it until Irene was dead, and then maybe I'd start going. She's probably old now. I don't want to kill her. I'm just saying she's probably old, and I could go to an E3 in like 20 years.
What are you, Batman? I'm not gonna kill her. I'm not gonna save her. you know?
Not gonna say her either,
Exactly.
yeah.
A very strict moral compass when it comes to sewing teachers.
Let nature do its thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just hang out. I'll watch E3 from home like I've done for 99.9% of all other E3s.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always like, because I saw that episode of Pew Pew Bang where y'all were talking about your experiences with E3. And
Mm.
I was like, yeah, when I was watching, like, it wasn't like summer break or anything. I was usually at work. So I was like literally on my phone, kind of trying to sneak a look because I was like on museum floors at this time in my life.
Oh.
So I'm like in a museum trying to like very on the sly watch the E3 presentations as they're happening.
Oh my god, with headphones in, sneakily.
Everyone's like, "Where's the bathroom?" I'm like, "Fuck, get away."
Death Stranding just got announced. Shut up.
Okay, everyone, that was our Would You Rather introduction to Haley. I think we all know her very well now.
Yippee.
Are you regretting coming on the show at all? At this
No, I'm
point?
impressed. I've never been asked who's hotter, Mewtwo or Bob Burnquist, and I have to think about it.
I'm glad that
Impressive.
I could.
What's that guy that interviews rappers and they're like, "How'd you know that?" You just did that.
Nardwuar.
Oh,
Nardwuar, yeah, you just did that to me.
Thank
No,
you.
how'd you know
That's
that?
the best compliment.
It says a lot that me and
ever
Mike
received
had
in
that
my life.
at the ready. I'm like at all times I'm ready to just talk about Nardwuar. The people
Okay,
wanna
y'all. With
know.
that, let's head over to indie news. Today, as we're recording, we got a lovely drop for the Humble Games Showcase 2025. Was that today or was that yesterday? That was today.
That was today.
I don't know what time is. Time's a flat circle.
It's like
So
5
much has
hours ago.
happened. It's like 5 hours has been like 5 days, Mike. Speaking,
You're telling
Mike,
me.
while you're enjoying your Celsius in a lovely mug,
It's a great mug. Shout out to Ivory Road.
601 Indie did the writing and directing for the Humble Games Showcase this year. Congratulations getting all that done. Woohoo.
Hey, thanks.
I hope you've gotten some sleep since then.
No.
Can you speak a little bit about what that process looks like? Did they reach out to you? Did you just spam email everybody who might be doing a presentation like, please let us do stuff?
They very much appreciate and admire what we do with the 601 Indie Showcase and the Indie Game Awards. I think our format and kind of know-how with showcase production is kind of getting out there, thankfully and graciously, and people are starting to pay attention. So
Rightfully.
Thank you. The opportunity kind of just fell in our laps, to be totally honest. So obviously when that kind of opportunity came knocking at the door, despite being in the middle of, I think it actually came on our plate the week of the Indie Game Awards. So despite knowing how awful I was feeling, excited for the awards, but like physically, mentally, and emotionally awful I was feeling, of course I said yes immediately. Definitely a tough ask because usually like for a 6-1 showcase or even like Indie Game Awards, we try to give ourselves like a 6-month production cycle between like planning, pre-production, and actual execution. Obviously we didn't start in December, so we held off until back from the holidays, which immediately cut it way too close. So yeah, we had to just kind of like familiarize ourselves with the games and knock out the run of show and secure the host, which Ash said hi, incredible human being, incredible job hosting. Had to secure all that real quick with like in a week and like knock out the plan way too fast. Thankfully we weren't responsible for like the actual like hands-on editing or anything ourselves. Like there was a production crew cutting the showcase together and mixing the audio, and so that was off our plates, thank God, because it would have been impossible to do in such a short time frame. But everybody gelled really easily. The games, the credits to the games themselves and the devs, like all the games look incredible and show super well, so we weren't really nervous about flow or pacing or anything like that. We knew it was gonna be a shorter a shorter video. So that's where like that pre-show countdown kind of came into play to kind of invite some cooler third-party indie devs that maybe like I had a connection through like Vicarious or through 6-1 Indie, just to kind of pad it out a little more. And like shout out to like folks like Alawar and Acapara who had world
Great
premieres
showings
of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic showings. So yeah, it felt like it was a nice breath of fresh air for Humble, I believe, like kind of like a reemergence in a way, because obviously you guys will get to it.
We're going to talk about that. Yeah.
I have to exit for reasons, but yeah, it felt like a nice like kind of like day one of Humble Games again for 2025, especially with some of the games that a lot of people have been waiting a real long time for to see some news on. And obviously we'll talk about it in a bit, but some of the new titles that Humble has going on.
I love it. Well, Mike, you go ahead and disappear. We'll say only nice things about you. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I can hear you guys.
You can hear it, but you can't say anything.
And you'll be back,
So-
but
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Mike needs to work less, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like he needs
That's a
to
nice
go
thing to
sleep.
say.
He needs to. He's doing so much.
Never.
Never. Okay. So important context to the Humble Games showcase. That was something on my mind while I was watching it. I wanted to make sure everybody was prepared for this. Humble Games last year just laid off all of its people. Like the parent company run by Ziff Davis, a name you all know and love.
then we didn't feel that.
No, don't worry about that. Is the
They're ever present societally, I think is the thing, is they own a lot of things.
Yeah. Laid off all of Humble Games staff, but they continued. They called it a restructuring. Of course they did. So I'm going to go to a story from GameSpot from Claire Lewis. And it is, find the title. Humble Games parent company turns to laid off staff's new label for help. So this is this is a little bit after the initial layoff. The staff have kind of come together to some degree to put together a new kind of publishing group. So that's good news. And I like having that good news in there. But the story reads, in late July, Humble Games, the publishing arm of Humble Bundle Digital Storefront, laid off the entirety of its staff in a surprising move that left some indie titles in a precarious position. But now ex-Humble staff have formed their own indie publishing company called Good Games Group. It appears that Humble Games' parent company, Ziff Davis, is one of its first clients. There's a ton more to this story, back and forth. You can go check it out. I'm going to link it down below so y'all can read it yourself. But not unlike the Annapurna showcase that we spoke about last episode, we have another showcase from a showcaser. I don't know if that's the real title you call it or not, but that's what I'm going with. Has basically laid off its entire staff. It's, of course, not good year or 2 or 5 for layoffs. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting, like obviously 6-1 Indie is coming in to help with some of the process. You have possibly another publisher coming in to do some handling, some PR stuff going on. We can't tell exactly why, if this is connected to that or not. Why are you laying people off and then have to go to them afterward in order for them to help you? Like, what? That has to have been such a good contract for the new publishing arm, because it would take a lot for me to work for someone who had laid me off previously. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Any standout feelings about what's going on at Humble Games?
Yeah, I wonder what they offered. Yeah, because that is such a weird situation to turn around and accept a previous employer as a client. There must be maybe like there's some wrap ups in IP or something, or I don't know, and it's just like easier to do it. Maybe it was like a agreement on the terms of leaving that this would happen, even, or something like that. I don't know. But it seems odd.
Oh, that's such a good interpretation. We need to have lawyer Haley on all the time.
I actually opted for myself being like, if Haley was here, we'd have something more to say, like in any podcast I'm on, because every now and then it's like, I wonder. Strokes chin. Yeah, it feels like a lot of kind of like a little bit of a logistical nightmare. I don't know. It's like very messy, and it also kind of gives I guess the thing that's sort of troubling about it is it definitely, we all know that like when you have someone, when you like hire someone to do work for you, inherently, you're like, hey, I want your labor, and you're getting your labor in exchange for money. and we all know this, and I think it's important to keep that in mind, no matter how much you like your job or your boss. Like, hey, at the end of the day, this is like a business thing. But like, it's like, yeah, but you don't have to say it like that. Like, it kind of just gives very much like these are just like logistical pieces that we are moving, and it doesn't matter about how it looks or how it might make people feel or any of that stuff. It's just about like what makes business sense, and I feel like this is a very clear example of that in a way that does feel like negative. I think it has, I don't think just because jobs are inherently business focused, I don't think that means that, capitalism doesn't need to be cruel, but it just often is. And I think this just kind of feels like an example of that a little bit. And then I also think it's purposefully, I mean, maybe this probably isn't their number one reason they did this, because I'm sure the number one reason is financial, but the additional convolutedness of a lot of what tends to really happen in the indie space with like closing and then reopening and then renaming, or even stuff with IP where it's like, well, it's different people. It feels almost, again, not the number one reason, but like intentionally messy, so that even if you do almost want to have that impact how you support or don't support a company, it's hard to keep track on what's really happening. And I also think it's difficult because everything is so entwined that it's not, the answers are less clear than ever than with I don't know, when you're working with something like just a bigger general corporation, like you don't care whatever, versus like indie work, the teams can be really, really small and also maybe just struggling to get their game out there. So it doesn't really, it's not like you're looking at like Megacorp EA or Ubisoft, where it's like a little bit like you have a little bit more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you
that's
can,
a
I
good
guess, be
point.
more critical of the publisher, versus here they're so nested that I'm like, well, this is an unfortunate circumstance. I hope everyone's okay. I hope people are happy. And I'm just kind of standing there not knowing, what the truth is on the ground.
It's almost like you assume the issues are coming from not greed, like normal with you would with AAA, but more of like maybe just inexperience with business or something like that. Like just the fact that it's an indie situation immediately cushions it to not feel like, oh, the CEO just took 99% of the money and that's why it's failing. It's like some other problem that is then nested within like 5 other problems that's all under NDA, so we'll never know what happened kind of thing. So yeah, that's an interesting point of the like support question of like, oh yeah, like sometimes companies do bad things, but when they're indie companies and they're small, and it's like not so much not that this is specific to this situation, but it's like maybe somebody's just not very good at running a business and then like runs it to the ground and then has to fire everybody. It's like, is that cancelable or like non-sporty?
Yeah.
Like it's like maybe they're just bad at business, and then at the end result is like the really awful thing they have to do to just like not go bankrupt. It's tough.
Right.
I don't know if that's the case with here. But
I don't think that's the case here because
it's not.
of who the parent company is. But
Yeah.
I love that idea that
It'll
it's
definitely
just
make
like,
it feel like it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen a company
their
that
benefit,
seemingly
yeah.
has a lot of money that is always like, ooh, we're barely squeaking by.
yeah, no, because like a lot of the times we talk about how indie games, like the creators get into it because they wanted to make this game. It's not like they didn't want to make a company.
Oh my God.
That
yeah.
wasn't their
None
plan.
of them do. Oh my God. When I talk to them, I'm like, so we're going to have to give you officer titles. Like we're setting up their corporations. They're like, I don't want any of that. I'm like, you have to, I fear. Like you need these things if you need to have a corporation set up. I'm like, do you want CEO, president? They're like, yuck. It's like those terms have become like gross to them, and they don't even want to have a company, but they need one if they want to like do their taxes right and stuff. It's so funny that so adverse to the business side, which is so fair. Like why somebody who's like a protege in programming suddenly has to have like a business degree just to like get their game out there. But that's kind of the reality though.
How you feeling over there, Jenny? You're nodding your head. You're
Yeah,
agreeing.
I think I agree with both Haley and Janet. They brought up really everything that was on my mind as well. I think just to add a little bit more of just like the personal feeling is it's frustrating because I don't know, but from a business perspective, it's a habit of companies to fire people and rehire so that they can hire them cheaper, hire them with less benefits, and hire fewer people to do more of the work. And so I don't know what Good Games Group staffing looks like, but just from like anecdotally, I know a lot of people who were part of that layoff, and I know not everyone was hired at Good Games Group. And so regardless of like, there's like the messiness that's inherent in the sort of relationship that they're building in that sense, but also there's the messiness of like there are still a lot of people that just got like left stranded essentially. And so it doesn't really add anything more than just that additional human element of how weirdly precarious and messy this situation is. And I wish we could get more concrete insight on what's going on, honestly.
Yeah.
Which we'll never get because it's all
Nope.
wrapped up in
Mhm.
NDAs.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is just the classic trope that you see, across media, right? Like, what was it? The Michael sold his paper company back to the place that let him walk away. So
Exactly. Yeah.
or was it Third Ocean's movies? They go to the guy they robbed to help them rob the
Yep.
other guy. It's like maybe we look at it like that. It's like a little less weird, but yeah, definitely is still a little bit. I don't know. It's unsettling, and I think what sucks too about this is there aren't that many. I mean, again, the industry is also just it's small, it's young, and there's not that many like pillars in the space. And like Humboldt, by extension to our old conversation, Annapurna, like those are some of the kind of the tent poles, and for those poles to have these big cracks all of a sudden is also just kind of scary and unsettling and confusing for the space, I think, too.
Yeah. Well, what's weird is we have like a really, I don't know, I've been thinking about how we have a younger industry and like late stage capitalism. And so I think what's interesting is we're seeing these cracks because like other industries just have had more time to create some of the systems just in general, but also because we have a younger industry that's coming in at an extra precarious time for just the world right now. We're seeing these cracks, I think, populate within everything faster, which is, interesting.
Yeah, it is. And like these are places that like common wisdom dictates should be safer, quote unquote, because they have money, they have backing.
Mhm.
Like these are not places that are like, we don't know if this next project is going to let us keep the doors open. Like there are a lot of indie developers who are like, we're making another project and we don't know if it's going to do well, but it's what we wanted to do. But like you've got backing, like Annapurna's got money, like how are you getting all of the losing all of your staff? But another wrinkle in all of this is that they continue to go on and they have clients and games and projects that they were supporting before all of this happened and now currently supporting, and we want all of those devs to have continued support, and we want Humble Games Showcase 2025 because we want those games to be celebrated. It's just such a wrinkle to be like, celebrate the showcase. It's great. It was written and directed fantastically. It actually was a really, really fun showcase to watch. So yeah, like we talked about with Annapurna, it's one of those things where it's like we want to celebrate that and we want to talk about the showcase, but we also need to call out these wrinkles and we need to call out what's going on behind the scenes so that people don't just forget that this wild thing happened last year. And it could happen again, and it's got repercussions and people really did suffer from it. So keep that in mind. We'll put the whole list of things we talked about, like all the articles and stuff down below so you can read more about this situation. But let's head over to Humble Games, the actual showcase highlights. Mike can rejoin us and we can talk about things that we saw during the showcase.
Sorry, what I miss?
No in-depth look at things that are happening in the world. Nothing like that.
Paperwork, you know what I'm saying?
You missed us saying that you need to rest.
Yeah, you definitely need to go nap. I hope that's what you're doing.
One day.
Okay. Talking about highlights, I think the one thing that I saw that I absolutely popped off for is Breeze in the Clouds. I have played this before. It is a kind of side scroller beat 'em up, but it's got all the control mechanics of a Super Smash Brothers, which I'm like, I absolutely love this. Plus, it's a hand drawn, absolutely beautifully hand drawn game based off of like with weather and climate control or climate change and that sort of thing. It's been coming out forever. I've played different demos of it, different previews of it. A little sad to see that we're only getting a window here, but they do promise that it'll come this year. So I'm deeply excited to see that. I hope we see it again. We're entering into event season, as we talked about, so hopefully we see it again sometime during one of these events. Mike, what was your highlight of the show?
Biased, full disclosure, I am doing marketing and PR for this game, but as everyone I think knows, I am one of the 3 Star Fox sickos out in the world. So I have the pleasure of working with Chuhai Labs, a studio I adore. Before I started even working with them, Chuhai Labs did Curse the Golf a couple years back. They did the Wave Runner or the wave surfing game for Playdate. That team is working on Wild Blue, which is essentially their take on Star Fox 64. You know, what Nintendo don't, indies are going to do. And yeah, so far just something I've been keeping close to my chest since I started working with the team in October. But from the way they're talking about it and from what I've seen so far, you know, I've seen everything that I've seen, what everybody else has seen. So really just those few screenshots and like maybe some early stuff, but like they're on the right track. I can't say much, obviously, but
Yeah.
highlight.
Just the sort of like personality flavor text for them during the showcase was really funny. Like at one point,
Thank you. You're welcome. Oh wait, no, I didn't write. Oh, you talking about Mark? That was all Mark. Mark is great.
but you left it in. You know, I am.
But the guy with the red glasses.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Mark
way
is
that
a
I know,
pleasure.
I already know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He's
Memorable.
essentially like, oh, I shouldn't have cursed, but whatever, I'm leaving that in. Like, took a whole
Shut up,
swig of
Giles.
wine at one point. It was so good. I was like, this is Mike's up Mike's alley right now. Jenny, what was up yours?
I do love a good RPG. I love a good homage to Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger. And we got that in Threads of Time. I've been watching it for quite some time now across different social media platforms. They have just beautiful pixel art sprites, and seeing we got like little tease of gameplay, and it was a lot more of the sort of cinematics that we had in the showcase. So I was just more excited to see that it's like still coming, it's still being worked on. Yeah, I am very excited for anything that resembles like a good RPG pixel art style kind of experience. So very, very stoked for that.
Did you guys recognize the VO of that trailer?
I did.
I am very
It's one-
bad at recognizing VO.
It was
and
one
voices.
Kyle Stevenson from 6-1 Indie.
Was it Kyle? Oh my god. Hell yeah,
We,
Kyle.
Scrambled to find somebody for VO, and Kyle was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it.
That's
He
amazing.
did an amazing
Oh my
job.
gosh.
Very professional.
Yeah.
Janet, how are you feeling?
Yeah. Surprising no one. I'm like, what's I think it's just like the classic flavors, right? We kind of just went to sensibilities. I'm gonna put Billy Bust Up in there. I'm the platformer person. I
I'm excited
also
for that too.
forgot that this wasn't out yet, in the sense that I saw it a lot at one point on TikTok. I guess people were playing the demo from like Itch. It was like all over my For You. And it seemed really like hard as well, which I'm down for because I love a hard platformer. We'll see how much that ends up being the case. Yeah, I have the same reservations I have on every platformer. And yes, I'm ready to be heard again. So let's go.
Full disclosure, also I'm doing marketing and PR for Billy Bust Up as well.
Now you'll be hearing from my people, which is just me because I
Just myself.
yeah.
Janet
I
with
can't
a hat
confirm
on.
what you've seen on TikTok is it's their Patreon demo.
Okay, yeah. I think they do have it on Itch. A label as their Kickstarter demo at the time.
Could be
It could be
Kickstarter,
different.
could be something. I don't know.
But yeah. Yeah, seems like a vibe. So excited to check that out.
So if you haven't watched the Humble Game Showcase, please go check it out. We're going to put the link down so you can do that. But speaking of showcases, it's going to be showcases from here on out. We're getting into event season. Things are going to be wild. But we did get a quick announcement that the Triple I initiative is coming back in 2025. We all kind of suspected as much because they did do very well. I think they got 13 million views for the first showcase. Very good for the first time. Not widely marketed. Like, it didn't have a long tail of marketing. for a showcase, but it did appear. We didn't get basically any more information than that. They're basically just like, we are coming back. The whole idea behind their showcase the first year, if they continue going down that path, is they want to be away from any other major industry event. And as industry events are getting thicker and thicker on the ground, it's harder and harder to do that. Last year, the showcase happened April 10th. So I'm going to say that's probably around when it's going to hit. Like, that would be a really good time for them, considering like PAX East and GDC are now like a month apart. I don't think anything else is happening in April. Let me know if that's wrong. Y'all are just sitting there like, I know of
What?
something.
I don't
The
know.
Switch 2 reveal.
Yeah, the Switch 2 reveal is happening in the 4th. But
Mhm.
I wonder if that's going to be easier for them if they've got Switch things that are happening. Like, again, I don't know anything. Nobody quote me on anything, but like having it after the Switch 2 reveal might be helpful.
They could be like the first showcase that has Switch 2
Mhm.
logos and the
Yeah,
stingers and stuff. That'd be cool.
Mhm.
that would be really good. Just to remind people what happened in the first showcase, things like Slay the Spire 2 showed up, 33 Immortals, Hyperlight Breaker, Darkest Dungeon 2 update, and their big star of the show was the Rogue Prince of Persia, which had us start the discourse of what is an indie game. So, we'll see if that happens again this year. I did get a little more information in a press release in my email, so I just want to shout that out for people. The teaser trailer included Deep Rock Galactica, Rogue Core, The Altars, Endless Legend 2, No, I'm Not a Human, and Enshrouded. For me, the thing that jumps out of there is Enshrouded. Y'all know I'm a Enshrouded sicko. We already have some information that it's coming in 2026 was the last info I heard of this, but maybe we'll get a more narrow date. Maybe they're pushing it forward. Who knows? Who knows what's going on with Enshrouded? Anybody else see anything that really strikes their spark? That's not a thing. I'm having a stroke
Lights
at
their
this very
fire.
moment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The altars.
The
I've been
altars.
Mhm,
super
me
looking
too.
forward to this game.
Oh,
It's
it looks
so
so
rad.
cool.
If you are not familiar or forgot what the altars is, it's a sci-fi game where it's like has base building elements to it, where there are they clones? Are they
It's
Yeah,
like
were they
alternate
universes
timelines
of
where like
you?
one little thing will be different. Like
Yeah,
you didn't get
Yeah.
divorced in
you
this
they're all
create
timeline.
you.
clones, yeah, with
Yeah.
these alternate mentalities that
Yeah.
work
Yeah, and
with
it'll be
you
like,
in the
oh,
space.
the version of me from what's that joke for like Marvel, like Earth 300 or whatever, like the other, universes or whatever, right? It's like, oh, this version of me is really good at, keeping things organized. So I'm going to have you do this task. But this version of me is just wildly pissed off all the time. So I'm going to have them wait
He's
outside
the
of the baseball
guard.
bat. I don't know the actual gameplay. This is just what I'm hoping is in there. But yeah, it's super cool looking. I think the art direction and layout seems just like really fun to just be like going around and talking to yourself, and then you have like it seems so cool. I don't know if anyone else wants to add, because it seems like other people are also very excited about this game.
Yeah, I got to attend a sort of like creator preview event that 11-bit hosted, and try the game out. And the experience that I had was about like 2 hours, and it was really, really fun. You do get to like talk to yourself, and I don't think it plays like The Sims, at least in the build we had, it didn't play like The Sims, but you got to like interact with yourself and sort of like give a gift to make yourself feel a little better. And it was like so fun. And the base building was like really straightforward. It wasn't too intense, which for me was a really good benefit. And like you're basically having to escape. You're on this planet and you're constantly also have to move your base to escape like the sun that is like rising, because if it rises on you, it like scorches you to death, I guess. And so there's this like added element of movement, as well as like figuring
The
out how to
Fortnite
best
fog.
Yeah, exactly. How to best navigate your crew of yourself. It's so cool. Yeah, and the preview was really fun, and I'm hoping like the full experience captures that fun all the way through. And so, yeah, I'm very excited for it.
I'm curious, in the build you played, could you like walk up and have like Mass Effect style discussions and like choose what you want to say to them, or is it more like surface level, like "Hi, me who goes divorced," and then moving on?
Hi, sad version of me.
Hi, sad version.
You could, like, there were elements where you could like basically upset them with the way you talked, or you could like console them. And so you build relationships with yourself with some like, I don't think it's like super deep branching discussion dialogue trees, but there's enough branching where you feel like, okay, this guy's kind of pissed and I need him to do this. So I'm going to try to be a little nicer to him in the hopes that he'll actually do this task.
Him, but it's you.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I have a question, Jenny. Can you romance yourself in this game?
Not
I
in
would
the
also
build,
like to
but
know this
my
answer.
God, I would
Oh.
love to know that.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about myself that my
Can I make the
question was
selves
not.
fall in love?
Yeah,
Like,
I
just
was like, can you
stand
kill
there?
them? Like, it was sort of my first thought. It's like,
Oh,
if I
like
had
the
a
the
me
devil
that was
game?
happy.
You know that Haley played. Haley, you played this, the Ravenous Devils. Like, you
Oh,
turn
yeah.
into a meat slicer and make a meat pie.
Make the meatloaf. Yeah, send them down the chute.
I'd
Oh,
probably
yeah.
not for that
really
part.
fun game.
Because, like, then you could retroactively make all the right decisions in your life, right? Because you know which ones are going to make you sad and which ones are going to make you an alcoholic and blah, blah, blah. And then so you just murder all the ones who made the bad decisions and then you're the good version of you. Is that how that works?
I mean, but you're still
No.
you're still just you, though. You know what I mean? It'd be like if we
Just a Black
Jill, if you
Mirror
met
episode.
the
I know.
yeah, it'd be like if you met the version of you that's still working at the museum and you killed them. You just killed another person
Yeah,
from another
you're-
dimension. Like
you
you're
don't
still
s-
you.
Yeah, but she
Gotta
could
wake up
step
and be
into
them.
their life, though. She could be like,
Yeah.
"Now I'm the museum one," and choose the best
Maybe, yeah,
one and just
Mhm.
steal the life. You could do
There you
that.
go.
I
Oh.
suppose. I think the last thing I want to give a shout out to this game is I was looking on the Steam page, and on the screenshots at one point they show you at a table and it says beer pong, and then it's like press E to play beer pong with yourself. Like that sounds
Oh,
great.
Amazing.
So
funny.
yeah, this seems so cool. I feel like, oh my god, it's space back, because I feel like it's so tiring to like the zombie thing, the stuff like stuff got played out a little bit, and I feel like I feel ready to enter space in games again if there's just
Mhm.
enough juice there, and this seems like it has that. Maybe it's just because I watched Interstellar a few days ago while I was folding laundry, and then I stopped folding laundry so I could cry watching the
You
guy
can't
watch the
watch
videotapes from his kids. you know?
Interstellar and fold laundry. That's crazy.
Just
pick
use
for a
the
full
laundry.
film.
Dun, dun, dun.
You can throw all the laundry
This
you
is
cried on.
cinema! Like anyway, that's how I feel about the altars. I'm just standing there like, this is cinema.
I don't know how we got so far away. We were talking about.
Does anyone else have
Triple I.
anything they're excited about from the Triple I teaser clips? A name that jumps out that makes you
These are
stand and
all
clap.
good games that I'm very interested in seeing. I wonder if they're hiding some of the bigger ones. Obviously, they want to grab people's attention, but I don't know if they would reveal their big end of the show game
Mhm.
in
Sure,
the teaser
yeah.
trailer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole, it's hard to know exactly who the organizer is because it's a conglomerate of a bunch of different indie developers. But they are saying that the goal is to not fix what isn't broken. Seems like the first go around was really good for them, but they do promise no ads, no hosts, no sponsors, just games. So yeah, that seems to be the way that showcases are going. All the good ones anyway. So we'll have to check in, but we the Indie Council, we need to check in with Bingo. Mike, can you bring Bingo up for us, please?
Also, is this an old
Absolutely.
version, Jill? Because I thought we said the middle was the free space, and when I click it, the middle is Silk Song. So I just want to know.
Oh,
what's
is the
going
middle
on with
Silk
that.
Song? Because I have got
I
a
think
different.
everybody's random.
everything's
But we
random.
don't have
Oh,
a free
okay.
space. Could we
We don't-
use the Earthblade Switch 2 launch as a free space?
There's
then?
no free space. Yeah.
So we
There's
know
the
that's
free-
an
that
inverted
space
free
isn't
space.
happening anymore. That's a dead space,
Can you
really.
embiggen it? Yeah.
Embiggen.
Can I
Apologies
biggin
for
it?
the. Yeah, I'll post it again on our socials so people can go there if they want to.
Yeah, we'll definitely
If they
put
want to
it.
experience the card the way it was meant to be experienced.
So, according to our indie predictions for the year, we need Haunted Chocolatier to show up in this showcase. That is one of our squares. We were very, very confident in that. No, you can't click it because that. Okay, that's a question we need to dive into, Mike.
For the Annapurna Pop Agenda.
Did the Annapurna Popgenda showcase happen? Because
Yes.
I would say yes.
yeah, because it was Annapurna. I was sort of expecting it to be both branded for both.
Oh, well,
You know what?
Pop Agenda's
Pop Agenda's
doing marketing
working.
for, yeah. They
Okay.
have lead marketing on Annapurna.
I just, I wanted to make sure because I was the one that threw that prediction out there. If we can go ahead and click that, if we're feeling good about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, everybody. Official first indie bingo hit of the year.
I have a quick one. Jill, did you forget Janet warning? I don't know what the hell this is. I
don't-
forgot.
I don't remember what the
I
wording
think
is.
Well,
that sounds
there's
good.
one.
Well, there's one.
Yeah, I forgot. I'm always saying something about
You be
something,
warning
you know?
me about things.
I got my own
and-
warning.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm always yelling from the sidelines, charging the field, throwing things.
Everybody goes back and looks, and they're like, "Yeah, Jill definitely forgot it."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a reminder on what sicko hole descent is.
The idea here is that we all collectively get into something
the
that's
sicko
like
games.
that's like Mike,
Sicko
like
games.
right?
Yeah.
It's like a Mike game.
Basic Mike
You
games,
steeped
and
my
we're
level.
getting there.
Yeah.
It's like we have another, mouth washing kind of moment.
Yeah.
I think. I think that was the
Listen.
idea.
Yeah.
Butcher's Creek. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
I
I'll
think that's
play
really
it.
scary, right? That's the
It's fine.
VHS one.
It's scary.
I started
yeah.
playing that and I literally wanted to burst into tears. It's so scary to me. I was like, this is so scary. I'm looking at the gameplay footage. I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
didn't
this
see any
is
of this
pretty.
because I just stood. Nothing even happened in my game. I got like 2 minutes on my Steam Deck on this game.
It
No, that's
says
enough.
it's similar to mouthwashing in Outer Wilds, which, okay,
an
I'm
interesting
downloading it.
combo.
Yeah. I'm
That
like,
does sound
Yeah. And like
appealing in some ways,
spoilers
yeah.
for future show, a lot of us have sent them down there in our games we've been playing.
Yeah,
We
and that's
do,
kind of
like-
yeah.
That's
Point and click?
we're taking steps towards that sicko hole, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're keeping an eye
We've
on
dipped a
that.
toe in.
I'm marking Earthblade as a free space.
Yeah.
That just seems like
It's an
we made a
inverted
bad
first base.
decision and now we're
Do
going back
you-
and
Well, actually, I think I made that joke already. Do you think we ruined Earthblade? That wasn't in their blog
Yes.
when they said Earthblade was
Mhm.
dead, but I think
I read
they
the
wanted to
subtext.
say it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
were
was
reading
there.
the
If you were
line.
reading.
Yeah.
They were like, this is the kind of pressure that we're like, I do not fuck with this at all. Please stop. Please
This
stop.
bingo card was going around.
Are we the
Nah,
toxic
dog.
fans that
Oh my gosh.
drove them over the
no.
edge?
it's us. We're the problem.
Yeah.
We're the problem.
So sorry.
And then the rest of these games, are they I need to go back and watch our original episode. They're the game's launch, right?
Yeah. I think
Yes.
Yeah.
we were intending that. Yeah.
Also, I
launch,
still
unless
see New
otherwise
Zero.
stated, which I don't think we have any otherwise stated. We have some vague things like Q1 wins best indie, like something from Q1 is up for in the. I think just gets kind of nominated for
Yeah.
awards is what we were thinking,
Is
right?
it best indie? I think we're doing it.
Or maybe wins
driving.
the category, I guess, for
Says
Game
the sleeper.
Awards, which is a little bit. I think it
Citizen
was my
Sleeper
warning.
2
I'm like, this is
going
very
up.
specific. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're making this really hard to win. That was my warning, actually. I think I was pretty confident.
Mixtape and Lost Records, I definitely mixed up. So there we go.
I feel
There
like,
you go.
Julie, you're kind of just trying to fill out the. I think we might need to wait. Let's wait for both those games to actually come out
To actually
to
come
be
out.
able
Okay,
to talk
okay.
about that more. I think.
Unclick. No one saw that. Does Haunted Chocolatier show up at the AAA show? Do we think?
No.
No, I
I'm
feel
not-
like
I don't
we
think
got
so.
too confident.
We got.
I feel like there's a chance. Am I dumb? You can say yes. I won't be offended.
No, I love your optimism. I wish I had it.
Because like
I saw the
Homie's still working on
conspiracies
starting
of seeing
patches.
like there was a piece of chocolate that looked like the number 25. It's gonna come out this year. I'm like, you guys are desperate. Oh my.
Mhm. Someone's written in chocolate on the walls.
It is
It's like
kind of the
Haunted
GTA
Chocolatier fans.
the
are
GTA
just like
6 of the
Sleep Token
indie.
fans.
space.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not even going to talk about Silk Song.
No, we don't believe in that.
No.
We
Okay,
can't
I
say that
think-
name.
for that
can't
one, I
say it.
think genuinely,
SGF.
literally never assume it. One day we will see it because it will probably come out. But even that, like, things happen. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there's no guarantees. So I think just sit quietly on that.
Yeah.
Mentally, which is why I'm like, why is it in here? But that's just me. That's just me. I'm just 1 of 4. Sometimes 5.
I mean,
'cause Haley's
I
here.
feel like we've got Eric Barone very recently working on Stardew updates and like being in the trenches intensely for that.
I think he lives in
Yeah.
the trenches.
He lives
He
in
seems
the
like a good
trenches.
person.
Lives
I'm
in
not
the
trying. No
farm.
shade. This person's working.
We're hard.
He's deep in the dues, you know?
Yeah. Like I spoke with him some time ago now, and then he was like, I'm stepping away from Stardew. It's not my baby anymore. But it's like, can you step away from your baby? That's real hard. So I think that we just haven't gotten the work on that game.
Oh my
And
gosh, a
that's
developer lied to
fine.
you, Jill? That's
No,
crazy.
fucking
That's
Eric
why.
Barone, you do your thing. We love you. We will wait for as long as it takes for you to make this game. Like, don't be pressured. That's what
It
I'm
seems
saying.
fun. There's ghosts and chocolate. So I'm like,
It's ghosts
I'm
and
actually not a
chocolate.
starter person, but there's ghosts and there's chocolate. So you sound like you make good games. I'm gonna go play your game.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. You're not a Stardew person.
Yeah,
But
no.
big news for this week. Update 2 for Fields of Mystria.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Oh my God.
I do have to go
So
back.
are you saying you are a Fields of Mystria but not a Stardew person?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, full disclosure, again, we work with Sarah on MinMax. I know Sarah,
She's great.
so if you think that means that she made me buy those cows,
Biased?
then I guess
Yeah.
that's gonna be what it's gonna be. Yeah.
I need a strawberry cow right now, Sarah.
I think
I'll
the
say
thing
nice
is,
things.
Stardew for me has the issue of I just cannot attach to it. I keep
Mm-hmm.
retrying it, and it's like I play like that first hour, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna put this down, and I just never come back. And then I'm like, okay, let's restart. And then so maybe if I just gave it a little bit more time, I would like land on it more. But I think something about Stardew, despite I'm sure it does have clear objectives. Like I'm not trying to shade the the UI or the objective design of the game, but something about it didn't feel as I'm in the flow. I felt like it takes longer to get in the flow of Stardew. While Fields of Mystria, it feels a little bit more
You're immediately trying to get your
friendly.
town level up. You're immediately
Yeah.
trying to like
Yeah, it's easy to like, and there's a lot of little quality of life things too, which of course, everything's
swimming.
built upon other stuff. So I'm not,
Swimming is so nice.
if Stardew was made today, I'm sure it would, but everything's in conversation with each other. So obviously Stardew walks so that Fields of Mystria could skip slightly differently, kind of vibe. Obviously there are people that favor one over the other, but they're all like kind of in that space. But yeah, I think that's why I find Fields of Mystria to be a bit more palatable. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I think part of it is also the RPG element of Fields of Mystria, which I don't think, does Stardew have something like that? I don't know if it does. Does it?
Kind of loosely. Like you
Like,
can like level up
barely.
your different skills.
I'm like
Yeah.
stares
So,
into like who
like-
played this game.
Oh, I played like 500 hours of Stardew.
I know.
Oh,
I'm like, I don't
absolutely.
even know how many hours
I'm not gonna lie, I got a little distracted by Mike's cat. So
Yeah.
being
I wasn't
fine.
prepared to jump in. It was adorable. Look at it.
But yeah, so that's where I'm at. But who's to know if I go back to Fields of Mystria? I want to, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna like really, well, one, I want to finish what I had already. I was like, I'm gonna finish what I have, and then I'm gonna wait. I didn't finish what I have, and now the wait time's over. So now I'm just in this awkward
You
state.
procrastinated.
It's still installed.
Yeah. Oh,
So that's better than I can say for
That's
a
half
lot
the
of
battle.
games.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. Like, like it's there, and I do think it'll be, fun. I'm liking it. I want to romance that dragon because that's supposed to be in there at some
Yes.
point. That seems very.
I think that's this
interesting.
update.
Yeah, it's this.
Yeah.
I think it's this
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
I don't.
So that
I'm
seems
kind
good.
of with you.
Did my
Oh.
goth mommy wife join
She's
the
doing
game yet?
great.
Oh,
She's
she's
doing
doing
great.
good. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
She's doing good. Yeah.
Mhm.
We
She
can
jumped
share her
in.
because she's my goth mommy wife as well.
Yes.
So we can
Haley,
share.
how dare you?
Sorry to tell you this live on air.
Both their cameras go black, and you just hear scuffling.
Yeah, no.
Oh no. I have such a thing about I love Fields of Mystria. I put 60 hours into it already. I don't know if I'm going back for update 2, even though I saw a thing about cats and dogs being able to follow you around your farm, and my conviction wavered. But I'm at the point where I'm like, if I start again, I want to start over again, and then I'm gonna rebuild everything, and then I'm gonna
Yeah.
be like, but I'm not. The next time there's an update, I want to do the same thing, and I'm gonna give myself fatigue. So I want to kind of hold off on it and wait until the 1.0 at this point.
That's what
Just-
I was thinking as
Mhm.
well, because I 100% everything from the first update. Like I did everything. And so I'm like, I could hop back in now, but I'm the same. I would want to restart because there's a momentum that I've lost in
Mhm.
the playthrough. And
I don't know
but
where
it
we are in
looks so
Dungeons and
good.
Dragons anymore. Like whatever
Oh,
Oh my
the
gosh, I know.
legally
Um,
separate game is.
but I'm so excited. Feel like Fields of Mystery is everything I have wanted in a farming sim for so long. So, yeah, the temptation is very real. It's installed on my Steam Deck. So, who am I kidding? I'll probably play it. But
We'll get an update next week. But for now, speaking of legalese, let's
Well,
jump
before we
to
move on, since
Oh,
we're kind of in the subject of spring showcases and stuff,
spring showcases and stuff. Go.
just a shout out that Future Game Show is next week on March 20th.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And speaking of March 20th, that's the deadline for the Wholesome Games Showcase.
oh,
Yes.
That is
yeah.
Everyone should be
Thank you, Mike.
submitting.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for promoting that.
That whole
Yeah, of
next
course,
week, by the way, is GDC too. And
Yeah.
so we're not
Yes.
going to be probably recording an episode, but we're going to have so much
Correct.
to talk about the next episode. It's going to be wild.
I
We're all
can't
gonna be
imagine how many
tired.
appointments you have, Jill. I remember last year
I was literally back to
Want to
back
get
this
the
week.
coffee? You're like, I have 15
I've literally
appointments in 10
got
minutes.
yeah. This year I'm actually doing a little better. I'm proud of myself.
Nice.
But I'll look at my schedule tomorrow and it'll be like, when did I get all these appointments?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, keep that in mind. Lots of events are happening now that we're entering spring. It's going to be lovely. Can I move on now, Mike? Is this
I just wanted to support my friend who's on the podcast with
Thank you.
the Wholesome Direct that's returning in June. A full-length
Exciting.
showcase packed with exclusive footage and announcements from
Disclaimer, supporting
uplifting,
friends.
emotionally
Yeah.
resonant indie games. Submit your
Friend
games
disclaimer.
until March 20th,
submit them now, folks?
or else.
Or else.
Or else.
Big
And while
Wholesome
you're
will get
submitting
you.
them, while you're submitting your games, you can listen to the topic of the show. I have cleverly called it "Are We in Agreement?" And this is why Haley is here to explain to us all of these very smart things that are in the 2025 Publishing Agreement Market Report, which I am going to refer to from now on as Pam.
Pam. I
Our
love her.
friend Pam has come. Pam's objective is to democratize publishing agreement data by analyzing data from over 100 publishing agreements. We hope to level the playing field between both developers and publishers when negotiating publishing agreements. So we're talking publishing agreements here. And it's sort of one of those things where this industry is secretive to begin with, but this is secretive upon secretive. So Haley, what are the kind of top level takeaways from Pam? What's Pam trying to tell us?
What's Pam trying to tell us? Well, yeah, we essentially were sitting on so much information, and like you were saying, publishing situations are secretive, but like this is next level because this is like legally obligated secrecy. Like we could share this even if you wanted, unless we have enough data to anonymize it, and then we could create like kind of like a report and have all the information out there without technically violating any non-disclosure / listener client privilege things. So what we essentially did, which took like 3 or 4 months. Oh, there's Pam.
There's Pam right there.
There's
I
Pamela.
You actually bring up
that's
the
her.
agreement. No, we
Season
got
1 Pam. You did it be a slightly dirty
Classic.
season 1 Pam.
Mhm.
So yeah, essentially we review tons and tons and tons of publishing agreements. Like my law firm does tech law in general, but we specialize in video game law. We have like a sector where it's my boss and myself who do almost all the video game stuff. So we represent dozens and dozens of indies, a few like mid-range publishers as well, who are trying to essentially develop templates that are really dev friendly and to entice people to work with them that way. But yeah, we represent a lot of indies to just review their publishing agreement, to edit it in terms of like the legal terms that are in there, but also then the follow-up question they always have is like, is this a good deal? Like, that's
Mhm.
pretty much the number one question we always get, which being a lawyer is like, I can't really advise on business decisions. I can advise on legal things. So I can't, necessarily say, oh, kind of good deal or not, because then someone could rely on that to a detriment and then get mad at me. So essentially we're hoping that this market report will be able to fill in those gaps for people who are like, I don't know if this is a good rev share for me to ask for or not. We can say, oh, well, we crunched the numbers and 80% of devs that released a game in the last 5 years got one this, at least this high. Or, like we can make it so it's more empirical. So we can now provide that kind of information to them and just say, just the facts that state, like of the 100 agreements we've looked at, here's the data. And then they can feel a bit more comfortable going into the situations for negotiating. Because, depending on the situation, sometimes the indie dev, it's their first time reading a contract in of itself. Not only have they never read a publishing agreement, they've never read agreement at all.
Right.
So they have no idea what they're signing. Well, the unfortunate thing is sometimes they'll come to us having signed an agreement that takes away a lot of their rights and stuff like that. A couple where essentially the publisher owns the IP and kind of holds it captive a little bit, unless like XYZ is done. We always try to argue that at the end of the day, developer should own the IP no matter what, 100% of the time. Even if the game makes $0 and everybody loses a bunch of money, the dev should still be able to walk away with their IP. Is kind of like where we like to start from the base up from. But yeah, no, it's been great. We've gotten a lot of great reception. A lot of our clients have emailed us being like, yippee, now I can use so they can use this in the negotiation instead of just saying, like, I feel like I should ask for 55% instead of 50, instead of just being like a gut reaction. They can say, I know for a fact that the average rev share is, they can point to something, which has been great.
Yeah, I love how in the actual document itself, you say it's good even for publishers because then if that you're being competitive.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and we've gotten notes because we represent quite a few publishers too, of just being like, oh, we didn't, sometimes, especially if I get a template back from a new publisher and, they're just trying to instigate a deal with the developer. There's no bad faith things. They just maybe are new to the industry as well. They'll have like the IP clawback clauses in there. It's more common when it's like a film or TV studio that's now doing games. They'll have like a lot of film TV terms and they're kind of like shoving them into a game development contract. And I kind of am the first person that comes along and goes, none of this should be in here. And they go, oh, okay, take it out. Like they're like totally open to it. But a developer would have just signed that and been like, this seems like a legit contract I will sign. And so this will help those kind of publishers trying to break into the market too, who are like, I want to have a positive, long-going relationship with my developer with fair, equitable terms that are industry standard. It's like a resource for them to look to know what's industry standard at the moment. So the agreements range from 2017 to 2025. So that's kind of like the age range. We have older agreements than that, but we kind of wanted to cap it and not go too far back. So that's kind of where we ended on.
Are you noticing a trend that they're getting, like, I don't want to say better, but like
terms are getting better?
Friendly? Yeah.
The terms are staying relatively the same from 2017 to now, but there's less deals is what an interesting thing that we found out. So like the rev share is staying quite similar. The average advance that a developer gets stays quite similar compared to now and like 5, 6, 7 years ago. There's just less of them happening which was interesting. We thought we were going to see either a trend upwards or downwards, depending on like the state of the market and how everyone's saying that money's disappearing and stuff like that. But it's more so that publishers are less willing to take risks compared to like 2017.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But they'll offer decent terms. Sorry.
Are you able to bring it up? Because it's nice. And I want to point out like how user kind of friendly, reader friendly. It sounds very dense and like it should be very scary to read, but you've got a lot of like beautiful images and fun colors and things. And I was just like, I'm so glad because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to read this.
It was my job to make Pam look pretty for the papers. That's good.
Yeah, this is definitely like a season 8 Pam,
Yeah.
Oh, that's what a compliment. Love her. Shout out to Canva. I mean, Canva's the GOAT.
Canva rules.
Canva rules.
Yeah, same.
It made this really easy. Yeah, we know that people aren't going to read big blocks of text, right? Like no one wants to sit here and find the revenue share stuff small. So we were trying to make it as quick as possible. And we also tried to color code it so that if you're somebody who's only releasing a game on consoles, you only have to look at the blue stuff. If you have an agreement that doesn't have an advance in front of it, aka the publisher's not giving you any money in advance to make the game, you just look at the red stuff. And if you have an agreement with an advance, you look at the green stuff so that it's kind of scoped into your specific situation.
I was really interested in all of these numbers. I don't know if y'all looked through this and like were surprised by anything, But I'm like, as far as I considered the split, I'm actually kind of happy with what I'm seeing here. Like perhaps I'm a little more cynical and jaded than the market actually bears out.
You're thinking it's like a lot of people brought up under agreements with an advance, the lowest developer revenue share we saw was 2.5%.
Yeah, that's wild.
That was
wild.
a very obviously I can't go into the specific details, but like a specifically really niche case there that the other terms would give more context to why that rev share is there. But just like for the facts, like that's the lowest one we saw. And then the highest one we saw was a 90% one, which obviously had a whole different set of facts and circumstances around it to why the 90% made sense there. But yeah, no, on average, it's about 60% developer gets to keep for the net revenue. So that's after everything's deducted. So if you're on Steam, that's also taking away 30% that Steam takes. Then all the, if you have like marketing expenditures or things that the publisher is also taking off of your gross receipts, then all that stuff is deducted. It's only the net profit. So everything left over after everything's deducted, and then they split it from there. So the developer will be getting 58.2% on average, and the publisher gets the rest. Yeah.
What are
Mike,
the kind
Jenny.
of? I was going to say, what are the kind of things that impact having those numbers skew? I know obviously you can get into specifics for like use cases, but you're like, oh, sometimes the split will be like really high comparatively or really low comparatively. Like, what kind of things go into that rationale?
Yeah, if the developer has a previous hit, that obviously changes a lot of things. If it has a really successful crowdfunding campaign and a lot of money is already in to help support development, and then an advance isn't needed, for example, like if you go back up to the differences in the advance versus non-advance average revenue share, you'll see that the publisher takes a way smaller rev cut, aka 32.1% on average if they're not providing an advance up front versus 41.8% if they are providing advance, with the thought that if they're providing an advance up front, there's your risk versus reward, right? They're giving you, usually it's around $300,000, 600 and something, I think was our average advance given, which is a lot of money. So they're giving that to them and they're saying, okay, take this, go make the game. And then we'll recoup that amount after the game comes out with all the net profits. Sometimes it's tranche. So they'll say, you get to keep 10% and we take 90 until we recoup the entire amount that we gave you up front. And then it switches to 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever. So we'll see that sometimes too. So they can be a little more assured that they're going to recoup their investment in at the front before the game comes out. But obviously if the game does super well, that's less of a concern because then they just pay them back via net and it switches to the better rev share really quick. If the game doesn't sell as well, that's more of a concern because then it never really switches over to the better rev share, or that gets kicked down the road a long time. And then the dev is only getting 10, 20, sometimes 0%. Like we'll see sometimes they get to keep 100% of net profit until they recoup their advance up front, which I always like to push back on and say at least 10% maybe. Obviously, none of this is legal advice. This is just like my generic advice I give sometimes. But like at least 10% or something, because just think about your overhead, your employees, your contractors or whatever. You should have some revenue coming in even while you're waiting to repay back so that you can cover those overhead costs, your rent, keeping the lights on while you're just in that wait out period for the publisher to get their advance back. But yeah, you're able to ask for a lot higher if you're not getting an advance because there's way less risk there for the publisher. They're not giving you any money up front. So you should be able to have a higher revenue share at the end of it, sort of thing. That's why crowdfunding is great because it lets you get a lot of the money up front and then get to keep the better rev share afterwards. So you get the money from a source, aka not the publisher, and then get a better rev share afterwards as well. So crowdfunding games actually is very helpful if people ever feel like it's not helpful. It helps them negotiate down the road a lot better.
Yeah, I think it's actually really good context because I feel like that's a common question. And I probably have had this question too as someone that doesn't, know as much of like the legal and business aspect of why are you like crowdfunding if you have like I think for a lot of people, the perception is almost that it's a double dip. While I feel like what you're bringing to the table is that it's actually just building separate things. They're like providing separate, resources for the developer.
Yeah.
Because otherwise if it all comes from the publisher, that has more long-term implications. Yeah, I guess what question I have on that note too, is that something that's like not allowed to be explicitly said? Because I don't feel like I see a lot of crowdfunding talk about that aspect of it. Obviously they're like, we need money to make the game, but the more details as to like why don't really get mentioned? Is that just, you think, for like legal reasons?
Just
I've actually-
confidentiality. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Jill.
Oh no, Haley, I didn't mean to jump in on you there. I've actually talked to a few people about this particular topic, and I think there is a legal angle to it. Like Haley said, I think a lot of it too is just kind of what you were pointing out, Janet, is like it doesn't feel good for people. Like if you crowdfunded somebody and you're supporting them, for them to go to a publisher means that you didn't support them enough. And like a lot of the way that the crowdfunding is set up, especially like Kickstarter and stuff, is you have to beat the goal in order to be funded at all. So you set a monetary value that you can hit, not necessarily that will fund your game. So you're like you're kind of in this weird limbo of like, okay, I've got like $15,000, which is not enough to make a game.
Mhm.
But we funded and we can prove people are interested and therefore go to a publisher. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's exactly how it plays out. Yeah, essentially they get to come to the table to negotiation with the publisher with like a bunch more ammo in their belt. We're like, we have a lot of public attention. We have money we're going to use already for development. So don't give us that. Deduct that from whatever advance you were thinking about giving us. And then it just gives you more leverage for then saying, you wanted 50, we want 60 now, because here are the three things we just brought to the table with our successful crowdfunding campaign. You know, whereas if you don't do the crowdfunding campaign / it fails and you get no money from it, you essentially are coming to them and being like, yeah, we'll take the whole advance and the worst rev share. Like you have less things to negotiate with. So I can see why people would feel that way of seeing like, I just gave you crowdfunding. Why are you then going to a publisher? But it's only going to help them in the long run. It's not like the publisher now is like, here's a bonus for the good crowdfunding for free. Like, no,
Yeah, exactly.
they'll just give them less funding and then they can have better terms.
Yeah.
They kind of in that same breath also wishlisting is another
Oh,
kind
huge.
of like leverage point. Also, that's why like we push wishlisting so damn much, because you know, let's say Silk Song has 500,000 wish lists or whatever. If they decide to like approach publishers to be like, hey, look at all of this attention that we're getting, and
1000%.
looking at the conversion rates and whatnot. So
yeah, wishlist is huge. It's so easy to do too. Just go wishlist it.
and free.
Push the
and
button,
it takes a
push the
second.
button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Great
want
point.
to shout out really quickly. Isla Frosty Glide just got done with its Kickstarter, which it funded. I think it was in 22,000 range.
Yeah.
And almost immediately, like the day after or something, it announced it is working with First Break Labs as a publisher.
Nice.
And I'm just like, good for them. I want that game to go so well. I've been watching it forever. And I'm like, this is exactly 100. Like, I don't know. I don't know any details. I haven't talked with the developers about it, but like, it feels exactly 100% like what we're talking about. They did a Kickstarter and then they got some publisher interest, even though that game's been out or on itch.io. It's got like different demos and stuff. So apparently the Kickstarter did enough. Numbers isn't exactly right, but it got enough interest to get publisher interest involved. So
that's that
It was a
exact perfect
similar-
situation.
Similar like victory story recently. The homies at Team Laserbeam, they've been working on this game Shroom and Gloom forever. Got like really like beloved attention out of like itch.io and stuff, and they just announced that they landed a publisher. So yeah, it's just if you see something cool, even if like you don't want to crowdfund something, wishlist it, heart it on itch, play the demo. Like the devs see all the data, and that's just more ammunition for them.
I also really like that you threw merchandise in here, because that's a question I always have, and I never have a great answer for. Is just like how the merch goes. And for the most part, it looks like anywhere between 60-40 and 50-50 is kind of the split here.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be if the publisher isn't interested in merchandise at all, it's pretty common for them to just be like, and you make whatever merchandise you want. You get to keep 100% of it. And then the developer has all the costs to actually go out and make it. But there's certain games where like merch is huge, like the stuffy market. Oh my God. The contract negotiations I've had around stuffed animals is like amazing. When you really peel back the layers and like, I'm fighting with another lawyer on a call right now about who gets to make stuffed animals. That's fun. Like that's what I wanted to do when I went to law school. Okay. But it's like, sometimes the merchandise can make so much money that it's it could be a third of total profit or something, because the game might not be a crazy hit, but it has really loyal fans who want to buy a bunch of merch for it. Visual novels come to mind. Those can have like not huge numbers on Steam, but really dedicated followers who want to buy merch and stuffies and other kinds of things. So if it is detailed in the agreement, usually the publisher is taking on all the brunt work of actually getting all the stuff made. So that's like after all the deductions of what it costs to make everything and ship it and that kind of stuff. And then they'll split it pretty close to 50-50 across the board. Yeah, we're seeing, which is nice.
Yeah. And it ruins my wallet. I can't say no to a plushie. I got my little Jackie Fiasco back here. I thought it would be thematic. Mike and Jenny, these numbers are not new to you. Y'all are kind of in this area where you understand all of this. Is anything in here surprising? Anything catch your eye, or anything you're glad that like you think more people need to know?
I mean, that 2.5% definitely caught my eye. Yeah. But I think Haley made the point, though, and I think what I thought was really cool is this is a really good like benchmark for devs who have, especially devs who have no idea. Because I remember the first time like with Soft Not Week, and we were looking at publisher offers, and it was like Law 101. I was looking up so many terms and emailing all of my developer friends, like if they were comfortable to share what their deals were, because there is no baseline context for a lot of developers. So this is like hugely important, even just to set something for people to grasp onto. I think what's really cool is that it is easier now, like with some of these elements, like, hey, looking at this, you're not owning your IP is super rare. So if you have a publisher who's like, we want IP rights for all of this stuff, you can really easily push back, and that's awesome. My hope is that publishers, when they look at this, don't see this as the like what they have to hit and keep it there. I think it's mentioned in the documentation as well, but I hope this pushes things up, because just because developer percentages are at like 40% or 50%, I don't know if they should be at 40% or 50%. It's like, I think we can still work in favor towards developers, and I hope this sets that groundwork to push upwards in favor for the devs, and that publishers really do see this as like a starting point, not their bare minimum that they have to, or it is the bare minimum, but not like where they have to sit.
Let's hit the bare minimum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm super grateful that you and Kellen put this together, and it's a public tool available for devs, because I think this is vital and a lot of complicated information that's broken down very clearly and very concise.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We've been happy with how nice that devs have been, especially with responding to the, oh my God, I can finally know what if my deal is garbage without spending money on a lawyer right away, right? Like you can look at this first and then determine if you want a lawyer to further consider your deal, right? It's a good gut check. So those people who can't afford lawyers, who, sometimes come to us years later to deal with the aftermath, and they end up seeing a lawyer anyways, maybe they can start from a better standpoint with these numbers for free, is kind of what we're hoping. Yeah.
I love it. And just for anyone who is listening to audio, I want to read out the average video game publishing agreement in 2025, which Mike immediately tried to scroll away from. I appreciate that, Mike. These are, he's moving it. It's an earthquake, everyone. Okay, this is the average. This is kind of the takeaway from what I understand of what this section is. The upfront advance on average is $674,861 USD. Developer revenue share is 57.7%. Revenue share tranches are likely. Developer granted audit rights. Developer maintains ownership of intellectual property. Publisher can negotiate sequel. Developer merchandise revenue share is 48.3% and a 6-year term auto renewing agreement. So those are your averages for 2025, and we hope they go up for the developers. But yeah, I think that's the top of the show, unless anybody wants to dive into a whole nother rabbit hole. If not,
Haley's information is here on the screen.
Yeah, go check that out.
it seems like confirmed. Look at that. We're at GDC. Come find.
Yeah.
Go to
Come find us.
GDC.
Do it.
Woo.
Go to GDC.
I expect to get one of your cool new business cards, Haley.
I will save you a business card. Absolutely.
Yo, I've had that website open on my phone since you've posted that. I was like, I need to get this for PAX.
It was so cheap. It was like $45 Canadian or something to get 55
Really?
cards made with the holo on them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Haley, do you want to describe your cards for the audio listeners who might not?
them here.
Oh my gosh, we're getting an actual picture. Everybody, are you ready?
Preview.
It's dark in
So
my
cool.
apart my room. It's also backwards because I think my camera's inverted. It's made to look like a Pokemon card. So an awesome Hugo P. Arts drew this art of me unprompted. He just drew it. He's the goat. I've sent him numerous ones of these cards. He's very sweet. I actually have him because on actual Pokemon cards it says like Illustrator. I have his his Instagram handle down there, and then
So
the
nice.
ability is objection because I'm doing the objection pose. This is a supporter card for those who know the Pokemon TCG. Supporter cards are like I help the Pokemon do something, I guess. And then all my contact information is just here. It's kind of hard to read because it's backwards and stuff. But then I obviously can't have copyrighted material in my card because I'm an IP lawyer. So I wrote parody instead of Pokemon, and I put file redacted over the Pokeball. So Nintendo, please be cool. But I think it's fine.
Notoriously cool is Nintendo.
Notoriously cool Nintendo. But I have
Haley, where's
like-
the sexy Mewtwo in that image though?
Yeah,
Like,
where's
I'm missing
the?
that.
Is it in the background or?
he's not business appropriate. See, I
Okay.
can't have him
Oh,
on
you're
the business
defending
cards.
him. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh yes, no, he's my client. Yeah, on the stand. Yeah,
Of course.
it's actually a Mewtwo
Massive
card. We just
conflict of
can't see him.
interest.
Okay.
Nice.
Let's talk about games we've been playing. And there's one game that's like on everybody's list here. So let's go. We are playing Wanderstop. Wanderstop is an amazing game. Jenny, I don't know if I sent it. I meant to send it into the chat. I took a picture with my phone of your name on the screen when the credits rolled.
Aw, that's
Yay.
nice.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, it's Jenny, get a picture quick. How's everybody feeling about Wanderstop?
It's such a good bed game. I take a cup of tea to bed every night and drink it, which is apropos. I'm also not normally a tea drinker. I the only other game I drank tea with in bed was Animal Crossing New Horizons, but this has inspired me to drink tea again.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, who's watching, Wanderstop is just released. You can go and play it right now. It is a game about Alta, who is a warrior who has been undefeated for 3.5 years. I think they picked 3.5 because I really want that to be 4, because it really bothers me that it's 3.5 and not like you don't have a full roundup. But anyway.
You're reading
So
into
you need-
the lore.
You've been undefeated for 3.5 years when suddenly you are defeated. And for someone who has made being a warrior, the undefeated warrior, the entirety of your personality, your identity, it basically just shatters you entirely. So you go to the woods to meet with a mysterious Master Winters. But on the way, you find that your sword becomes literally heavy. Mike, that's amazing.
Fashion.
Fashion.
This is the intention, right, Jenny?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do with it.
Yeah.
Mike has attached a pluffin to his ear for anybody who cannot see it. So yeah, you're on your way to Master Winters when your sword becomes too heavy to lift and you just pass out, and you are brought to Wanderstop, the titular tea shop, by Boro, who runs the shop, and he's like, hey, you're not feeling good. Let's just play it by ear. Let's have you make some tea. Let's see what's going on. And then things ensue from there. I'm trying not to do any spoilers, but that's the basic idea. Janet, did you play through Wanderstop?
No, actually, I'm saving for my stream. I mean, I did the preview before that y'all had already done. Yeah, so I don't have like a big narrative takeaway yet. It's been a while since I've been able to play something weekly relevant on my stream because I keep playing stuff early. So I'm like, this one I'm gonna save. But yeah, I'm drawn to the process though of the the feeling of freedom and creation is kind of I think the big appeal point for me in Wanderstop so far. Just like I like how convoluted the machine is. I think it's fun when things that have a sim element have like a more tactile feeling to it. It's the thing that I like about it's much different game, but like Potion Craft, where it's like I'm really in there. Or Strange Horticulture is kind of similar. But yeah, so I'll share more of my thoughts when I get really into it. I think it's the only thing I'm playing, so I'll have like a good 4-hour window to sit and also drink my tea. Maybe I'm not that good at making tea in real life, so I'm a little scared to do that. But I do feel like it would fit the vibes well. So we'll see.
I'll come over and make tea. I'll be the tea maker for you. Just grab me
But then how will I learn if I don't start making this tea? Isn't that kind of part of it, right? Yeah, meeting
Janet,
people, shaking hands, pouring tea.
Oh yeah, tea party. A whole Indie Council tea party, please. What's the next event we're all going to be at? Summer Game Fest, probably.
Probably Summer Game
PAX?
Fest.
Yeah.
Are you going to? Okay.
Can have iced teas.
Knock on wood for all of us. Okay. Tea party planned. Mike, how are you feeling about Wanderstop?
Before I get into my thoughts on Wanderstop, I would like to point out that I just want to shout out Ivy Road and Jenny and everybody involved for giving us access to this game like a month ago.
Yes, 100% love.
Incredible. But also, Haley, I have a legal question for you. I would like to hire your services to sue Ivy Road Games because this man is a little too similar.
Yeah.
Right? A little
not legally distinct enough.
Little cease and desist there.
I think somebody on this call with purple hair may have seen a high school photo of me. And
I'll need my own legal representation before I answer that question.
I'll be happy to represent you both in this issue.
Yeah, no
there will be no
conflict.
problems with that.
Yep.
No, I mean, I don't want to. Obviously, this game's left best unspoiled, so we'll tread lightly. But I think this game is just wonderful, and it was an interesting game to play back to back with Afterlove EP. Afterlove EP I described as like a tool that folks could use to help like manage their grief when losing a loved one. I think this is such a wonderful tool for a lot of specific folks in the world, especially like in the games industry and maybe on this call. A fantastic tool to help us reflect and urge us to slow down and take a breath. Because man, excuse my language, this game fucked me up, and I had to take moments where like I couldn't play anymore. Kyle started it the other night, and he said like there's a moment like 45 minutes in where like it really hits you about like what this game is actually about. And Kyle was like, I was in tears. I had to stop it. Like I really have to pace myself with this because it's no secret with like showcase production, especially when like with this Humble one, for example, we were stacking 3 at one time. And I've said it on this show. Back in December, I was not okay with I was like severely burnt out, the worst I've ever been in my life. And I was starting to get to that point again. And Kyle was also feeling that. And like this Wanderstop came at like just the perfect time to like really scream at our faces, just grab us by the goddamn throat and really urge us to slow down, or else like we're physically not gonna be able to carry the sword anymore.
Yeah. 100%.
And I will say, aside from that, gameplay wise, this game is like I'm going to use this term as a general kind of thing. This is the farming sim for non-farming sim players. I am not a farming sim person. I just maybe the closest I ever got was Viva Pinata, which I think gameplay wise is a good analog to Viva Pinata. But man, I was all about the tea making process.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying and simple enough. And it's just like a very like fun gameplay loop.
Haley, how are you feeling about Wanderstop?
I just played the beginner's guide this last year, and I love the Stanley Parable. So it's like coming into this game, I'm like, what's it gonna do to me? Like it's like fun that usually a cozy game, you're like, I'm gonna get relaxed. I'm like, what's gonna happen to me?
Yeah, real paranoid.
Yeah, I was paranoid as hell. No, it's a really, I like the farming sim elements that are very simplified as well. You kind of put seeds on the ground in shapes, and that makes the fruit you need to make the tea, and that's it. That's been really nice. Something I didn't anticipate is I love the books that you find. They're so fucking funny. The what's his name? The detective guy.
Color card.
Oh my god! The first one of that, I've read it. Like I've gone back to reread it. There's one specific line where it's like, he had a card in his hip that had his name on it. And then like later on the story, it was like, there you are. What's his name again?
Dirk Warhard.
Yeah, he's like, there you are, Dirk Warhard. He's like, Dirk Warhard checked his card in his pocket. He was right. That's so funny. I was like dying at those. I don't know why, but those have low key been some of my best. He's a great writer. The main dev of this. I love his writing style. The way that you never quite feel safe with what's going to happen / is happening / the purpose of the game that you're playing is a very fun ambiance to create in this specific type of genre. I'm not done it yet. I'm about 6.5 hours in. So I'm, again, just like super intrigued. I love feeling this way in a game that is appearing to be just like just relax and make tea. And I'm just like, I feel on edge almost in an excited kind of way.
Piggybacking off the writing, the characters in general are so wonderfully realized in this game. Shout out to Gerald. Gerald's still my homie. I love Gerald so much.
I'm so worried about Gerald, you know?
I know.
I want him
Give
to
me a Gerald
like,
spin-off, Jenny.
There's literally
thank you.
I was talking with people who were playing it for a review, and it's just like there is no bad character.
No.
Like, I think I have a favorite. Maybe? I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite. That might be a lie.
I do love one in specific who I won't spoil. I don't know if even mentioning what they are is a spoiler, but like just because the way she walks, that is a specific sound for every footstep that like tickles my brain in the best way. That I'll just sometimes like hang out in rooms she's in, so she'll just like walk around. The sound design's great.
Is it the one who's dang it? I can't. I can't even ask. I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
because
probably
I was eyes, a nose.
Yeah,
has feet.
I was
I
was reading their dialogue, and their accent is unexpected for the type of character they are. Is that who we're talking about?
I can't remember
because I was
like
reading.
So Guess Who coded.
I know. Like, I just want to say the noun of what they are.
I could not have loved that character more because as I was reading, I realized what accent I was reading, and I was like, "Oh, I love this," and I want to see people attempt it on stream, and it's so much fun. And you don't see this type of character shown in a lot of games. So I love the kind of diversity of that. I think my favorite character, has gone from something that societally we would consider big and exciting and wild and out there to follow something that we would consider small and mundane and uninteresting, but it's like the thing that they love, so they've made themselves into it because this
is so hard to talk about.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just like, that's such a cool thing of like just be you, even if like society thinks that that's a dumb thing for you to do. I'm like, that is such a cool way to show this.
Like,
you know who I'm referring to? A group, who shows up, who are all looking for a specific room. Yeah. Perfect. That might be my favorite. Like I think of this game in terms of waves of characters, if that makes sense.
Be careful.
Essentially what you're doing in the game is you come in and you make tea and you're there for people and they make requests, but it's never just like, hey, I would like a mint coffee or something or a mint tea because you're making tea. They're like, I would like to feel energized. I would like to experience the feeling of books, like something ridiculous. So you have to go through your field guide and kind of identify and interpret that in a way. And I don't know if you can fail because I feel like I did it right every single time. I don't know if
that way, but maybe a trick.
You can fail
because so there's one. I don't want to spoil the thing. Obviously, there's one later on that is very specific and very long-winded in its instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did the preview, Becca was reviewing it. When Becca got to that point, she was DMing me for like probably like an hour or two of like just cursing under her breath of like, I can't catch up. This is so annoying. I'm doing this. I'm doing ABC. I still can't get it. I eventually failed it. And then meanwhile, a day later, I got on my first try because I'm a goddamn gamer with Becca.
I think
so what happens if you failed? You just do it again? Because actually,
just go,
I was talking
this
to...
isn't.
I think you just don't see that thread finish.
Oh,
okay. So
I don't think so. I think what happens is they just go, this isn't what I asked for, but that's okay. I think it's
Yeah.
kind
Because
of
this is a
So,
question that
like-
came up on the remap that I had earlier, where like Patrick is a little bit further into the game, and he also was unsure about that aspect, and was like,
So-
I feel like I gave them an order, and they're like, different. So it's like, was that me failing? And then does that then maybe cut off, a certain narrative angle or not? Like, just curious, like structurally, how that
Becca
is set
told
up.
me that she didn't see like the ending of that character's arc.
Oh,
interesting.
If
that
that's
has me
correct,
fearful
Jenny.
now. I'm going to be making tea very slowly for the rest of my playthrough now.
I'm retroactively afraid because I didn't know I could fail. Because now I'm like, oh, there was always a chance I could have.
But remember how free you felt before you found out that you could fail?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
go
I was
back
like,
to
I'll
that.
message you later about it, because I don't want to say anything now, especially because folks
Okay.
haven't played.
Right,
and
yeah, go and
Sure,
play
sure,
it.
sure.
Part of
I think
that's the fun.
I
Fair,
think
yeah.
one of the biggest gameplay
For
elements
less neurotic
besides
gamers, it's the fun, I guess. Maybe for other people, they're like, wait.
besides
save
just
scum this.
yeah, save
Want
it.
to
make
save
sure
scum
it's-
Wanderstop.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my gosh, that's
wild.
wild.
I think if you're gonna do that though, that's like an opportunity to reflect. Like what's
Mhm.
real? What is this
really
Yeah,
really
you
about?
really need to sit down and have some
Because
tea.
it's not about finishing the
Yeah.
game. Be honest. It's
The way I won't
gotten
change even
too
after that
deep.
realization, though.
Mhm.
I'll still keep doing
this
it.
is like, oh, I wish games were more dynamic. No, not like that. Like in a way that favors me.
Yeah. Reflection and all of that is so coded in the game, which is hilarious. One of the things I don't think gets talked about enough, which might be like the MVP of gameplay, besides Pluffins, is drinking the tea that you've made. And I don't know about y'all, but every single time I made any concoction of any sort, I would take it. I would find a different place to sit each time, something that suited the nature of the thing I was drinking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like I talked about, the essence of books was definitely, I went up to the library area where I'd put a lot of like books and stuff to make sure I had the essence in there. But the things that are said, and I don't know if they're said in the same order or if whatever, but you sit down with your cup and you drink, and you can do anything from reminisce about childhood, to what it means to work, or how you feel when you do something, or whether, or you're just like, I cannot place the flavor of this tea, I have no idea what I've just created. Those moments of looking at Alta's formative experiences, and as a kind of person divorced from those experiences, pinpointing like, oh, that's why. Like there was a moment where I like one very specific and very touching reflection on her part, which I don't think she put the dots together, but I was immediately like, that's why she feels that way about her dad, essentially. That's the start of all of it. And she never broke that down because she was a kid and she didn't understand the implications of what was being said. So she sort of misunderstood, to my interpretation of what's happened in her life. She sort of misunderstood something and wasn't able to like have the thoughts to talk it out with the person speaking with her. So she carried that misunderstanding through life, therefore causing a lot of the problems for her later, and not being able to be weak, not being able to like stop and slow down. Like a lot of that goes back to that one moment, and it's something you can miss because you don't have to drink the tea at all. Like it's not a necessary thing. And it's such a like a line that if you're not paying attention, you can miss it even if you are sitting in that moment with her. I'm like, this is an amazing game to be able to put that kind of humanity injected into it. And it's a really real human feeling, a really real human experience with looking back at your life and missing things. And like it's messy and it's non-linear, and it's like at the end, as I suspected, like whether or not you can say she's better off is something you can debate. it's so interesting because it's like it's really very human in the way that we actually deal with things, in the way that we don't actually deal with things, in the way that we do deal with things. You know what I mean?
I think that's something to commend with the narrative design overall. I think it's kind of overlooked how difficult it is to put such a raw human game or a raw human, like, I don't know, tone, element, themes inside such a fantastical game about
Hmm.
making tea in a magical forest.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the most, like you said, like multiple times, like this is one of the most human games I've ever played in my life, easily. And
Yeah.
that's rare. That's so rare nowadays.
And I think that the cozy, fantastical nature of the game makes it possible. Because otherwise, it might feel too heavy. It might feel
Because you can
too
break rules, and yeah, you could help alleviate it a little bit.
yeah. Because you go from that moment to like, oh hey, did you know that you could make tea and give it to the pluffins and they'll change color?
Oh,
What?
the true
That sounds
goated
good.
mechanic.
Isn't that
didn't know
amazing?
that.
Sorry for anyone who that's a spoiler. It's just a fun
I just
thing
pick
that
them
you
up
can
and
do.
shake them around.
You
a
shake
lot.
them
Yeah, you
around.
just shake the babies.
I
It's
shake
great.
the babies.
I feel so
Yeah,
bad.
they
He
got
like
the
They
package.
like that though, right?
Give me the package.
Isn't that
They
what,
seem
isn't that
into
what they
it.
asked for?
It makes them
Yeah.
happy.
Do it.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll follow you around. It's fine.
If something follows you around, you're allowed to shake it violently. That's
Yeah.
the law.
Yeah.
It's
I know
paradise.
that.
Yeah.
You go from these very sweet, very like fanciful moments of like, okay, you go have your fun, you do whatever, to like really intense. I was after a certain part of the game, I had a real physical response to hearing clippers anytime afterwards. And I was just like, I don't know how they did this. This is amazing that they were able to put that response into my brain, that now I am back in that moment. And just like the story, the reveal of like what's actually happened, fantastic. I don't
Tread lightly.
yeah, I'm trying really hard. Um I think
What a couple what a good like year 365 of Clipper games, you know? Got Grun,
yeah,
Wanderstop,
Grun. I mean,
Grun, whatever.
if we could go back and like redo the bingo,
NBA
Clipper games are
2K25 with
in.
the Clippers, you know?
Clippers.
Shout
Yeah.
out.
Dang it, there was something else I wanted to say and I've forgotten what it was. I want to talk a little bit about how this game is very specific in its point. And its point is to be meditative. Its point is to be inefficient. It's sort of, you need to take every single step of everything you do as a moment of stopping to smell the roses. And that's kind of its point. It can get to like later on when you had those like kind of layered requests, I really had to remind myself the point of this game is to stop and smell the roses and to enjoy each and every single step, instead of normal mindset for me being like, okay, let's get to the end goal. The request is this is what I want to do. Instead of like, I would have to take a step back and be like, okay, we're going to get to the end goal eventually. But the point right now is I'm going to make a this kind of flower. And that's all that I need to worry about right now. And then I'm going to go out, I'm going to enjoy the universe and pick tea leaves. And that's all I'm going to do right now. And then eventually, when all those things are done, I will combine them to make a tea. That is a very layered request. But like, I understand the people who will be like, okay, I've got this request and it's like, I've been doing this, and this, and it's taking so long. And like, there's so many other requests and I have to keep doing it over and over again, or whatever. Like, I can see that being a real problem for people as far as gameplay is concerned. And I understand people might not enjoy that aspect of the gameplay. I found it a positive that blends into the narrative thematic purposes of the
Same.
game.
I have a really funny anecdote about kind of like pausing to smell the roses, and like that's the purpose behind the gameplay design. So when we were doing the preview episode of Wishlist with Becca and I were talking about it on the podcast. She was like, yeah, everything's so great. And like, the game's like very mechanic friendly and like all the pieces are there for making the tea. But I don't get that the only thing that you have to wait for in the game is like waiting for the leaves to convert into the tea balls. And as we were talking about it, I had this light bulb go off in my head. I'm like, they're making us wait on purpose because that's the point of the goddamn game. And we're like, oh, and quickly like backtracked. At this point, we beat the game, right? We finished it and all that stuff. So like, it was just a funny like post credit like realization of like, goddamn, the game is so mechanically brilliant and so purposeful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be constantly whenever I was outside. I'm like, I'm just picking leaves and making sure that.
Oh, same. I wasn't waiting for shit.
Yeah, I'm making sure that's in there. And then
you're like, wow, that's really beautiful. Anyway, here's my like 8 million tea
5 tea balls at once at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I had a funny moment where I went up to Boro and I was just like, what am I supposed to do right now? He's like, why don't you just relax? And I remember being like, what? It's like,
instruct me, bald man.
Yeah, like my gamer brain is
guy.
like, what's the objective? Where's the red question mark I'm used to seeing everywhere? And I just had to like wait for him to like turn purple again and give me a quest. But I just like went and sat on a bench and drank some tea for a bit. And then he was like, oh, about pictures on the wall. And I was like, okay, something new to do. It was funny though, because I was just like so not used to that. The game literally was like, chill. Chill. I was like, what?
You finished what you had to do already? That's kind of weird. Kind of weird to you.
Ran around and did it really fast. And then the game was like, all right, well, now
we
your
live in
reward
a
is
you
sitting
can lean,
down.
you can clean society. That's why. It's not just the games, Haley. It's the you're never allowed to look like you finished your work because your boss will just be like, oh, what are you doing right now? No, it's this.
Here's a new project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the trick is to always look a little annoyed when you're working in an office, a group office space, because then it's like, okay, they seem like they're really busy.
I work remote from home by myself, so I'll just stare at the wall angrily all day.
Yeah, you're like, I'm turning my camera on so you can see how mad I am to be here.
Haley, what was the first photo that you put up?
The one of the night's sun on a horse.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Mike, what was
Gerald.
your first photo?
Oh God, I don't know. I think I just took one of Boro. Boring.
He gives you a much better one later.
He does.
Yeah, I realized
one with
that
him
later.
sneezing.
Yeah.
My first was a really close up version of a mad looking Pluffin, and I kept that. And I was just like, "That's the best picture I'm ever gonna take."
Mine was a Pluffin in his little house.
Nice little house, happy little Pluffins. They're so good, you guys. I don't know if you noticed, but when you pick them up and you walk with the Pluffin, it like honks as you're like walking to your foot beats. He's so cute.
Real Mario
best
64
character.
coded.
Yeah, very much.
The part where you throw him off the the ice cliff.
No one did that, Janet.
No-
that was
no
just
one.
you.
Okay.
Everyone was like, I can't
Sicko
hear
mode.
this baby cry anymore.
Because I want to hear Jenny's lovely voice again. Do we feel like we've said everything we want to about Wanderstop?
Good game.
Good game.
Very,
Go play
very
it.
good game. Tell Jenny nice things on social media.
Send her pictures of your Pluffins, please.
Oh my god, please do.
Jenny, you have a game on here that's pushing us towards the sicko hole. Can you talk about Centum?
Yes, I absolutely can. So full disclosure, because of launch, haven't played too much of any games. I bought Centum and Everhood 2, and I played a little Split Fiction, but I did play the Centum demo and it launched. So I'm very excited to spend all weekend with it. I guess mechanically, it is sort of this breaks the fourth wall escape room adventure game, point and click. Yeah. I would say it's for people who love like getting all philosophical and solving mysteries and not necessarily knowing what's going on, but you have just this pervasive sense of dread and like low-key horror that goes through everything. And you're trapped in this prison on one level, in terms of just like how the story is going, but there is a meta of you also having entered that prison through an OS on your like in-game computer. And so that's pretty much what I got from the demo. I didn't delve too deeply. I'm sure people have like really unearthed secrets in the demo, but I played like my first round of it, and I knew I was going to love it, so I didn't want to play anymore because I was like, I'm going to buy this when that comes out. Really good, very gory, very like esoteric and heady, but in like a way that really appeals to me. So I'm super excited to play more of it.
Yeah, I'm with
I
you.
don't know if you've
I haven't
done more.
I haven't played through it like essentially more than you, but it is so weird. It is so bizarre. If you're playing this game, you have to be okay to just let go. Let go of being in control, let go of understanding what's happening, let go of understanding any dialogue choices you're making. You don't know. I've decided I'm a warrior. Who cares? You know, like let's go. I don't know why I'm in like a trial and why a judge is getting verdicts over me or whatever. I don't know why there's a little dead child running around trying to be
dear.
my friend.
Yeah, one of
I will
those
say
monkeys with the symbols, or it's like a rat with a
Yeah, a
symbol.
little rat thing, which I
Like the
killed at one
Coraline
point.
rats?
Yeah.
Kind
Oh, it's
of.
I'm
worse
definitely
than that.
worried
It's,
that this
it's-
might be a not me in my game. I think listeners would know exactly what we're talking about, which is it's too puzzly and too smart.
I don't know if it's too puzzly. I think it's just not linearly or like logically connected in a way that you have to be kind of okay with.
Jen,
We'll
I think we just
see.
gotta let go.
Just let go.
Let it take us.
Let it take you.
No, because
Yes.
like here's the thing. The game starts and they're like, find this key. And I'm like, oh man, where could it be? Well, you're in one room, mind you. There's like 8 interactions, and I'm like, man, okay. You know, I'm really it was a real don't raise your hand to have the person come over and help you, but at the same time, I'm like, I might have to raise my hand and have the person come over and help me. So we'll see. I do like the vibes of this, and I think because it's point and click and it's kind of in the construction of screen to screen, I'm hoping that will make the puzzle solving go a little smoother. Because I'm a little bit worried about that. But yeah, it's got like a weird art vibe, which I'm always drawn to. I like to look at something and be like, what is that? I don't know. And then sometimes you're like, that was great. And then sometimes you're like, that was something. Either way, it was. So I mean, that gets me excited.
Yeah.
That cat telephone is cursed.
The
as
cat
hell.
telephone with all
Yep.
the eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
very
no.
Very Furby.
Mm-mm.
what is it? The
It does look
I always-
Furby,
yeah, it
silhouette.
is.
I always
very
compare
furry.
this to Norco for like the art a little
Mhm.
bit. Even though
Yeah.
I wasn't a Norco stan, I'm like Norco's all right, but you know, I know a lot of people. That game is like pinnacle peak. So, not saying that this is necessarily the same construction, but it kind of feels darkly cozy in the same kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
BMO
pixel art
coded.
without it is beam. And I also thought of the Nickelodeon face. Like
Oh yeah.
I thought
Oh, yeah. Face.
yeah, face.
R.I.P., you know?
Oh, yeah, okay. I was like, who is this? I was trying to remember who this
Who's
was.
this man?
I don't think I should look at this face for too long. I feel like it's gonna unearth something.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So yeah, go check out Centum. That's out. And tell us if it makes sense to you, if there's something happening. But also, speaking of things that are just weird, Everhood 2 is also on your list, Jenny.
Again, that one I just
These are just purchases.
picked it up. Yeah, I did not play any of it. I played. I actually got to play the first one a little bit more, especially because I saw the demo for 2 during the Steam Next Fest, and so I should have written down. I played more of Everhood 1, but I have not jumped into Everhood 2. But it looks, again, it's the same. I love like a weird game. I love pixel art, and this has both. I also love rhythm games, although I feel like the rhythm in this is actually quite challenging.
Yes, very much
It's a
so.
lot
So
more
Rhythm
challenging
games
than
have been
first.
getting harder and harder these days.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It used to just be step on the lit up square, and now you gotta like it's gonna move up if it's a red one, or go to the
You
right
gotta
if it's a
hold
blue
down.
one.
You gotta fucking. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I can't.
Oh, this one's in
Mhm.
3D space, moving around left and right. Oh
Yeah.
lord, I already know I'm bad at this.
Jenny, what was the color of your character?
Oh my god. Blue, I think.
Okay,
Me too.
You too? Oh my gosh.
Mike?
Yeah.
what's the color of your character?
Is that random?
No,
No,
it's like based on the
no.
questions you answer.
I was trying to not
Oh,
spoil
yeah,
that.
I
and
love
did.
that.
Oh,
I mean, it's the first 1 second of the game. You know, at a certain point,
mine was blue.
at a certain point, it does get to the. I mean, I
Blue.
did like that
Okay.
as a surprise, but
I think
So,
blue.
like,
know,
is everyone
the
blue?
first second.
Were you
This
not? What?
person in the
What
trailer
Because
color?
I was
red.
blue. We were all blue, right?
Yeah. Oh, you were blue too.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So, like,
So
there are a
mentally
lot
and
of.
emotionally, we're all the same.
We're all
the same
together.
person.
Yeah.
There you go.
It was everyone. Well, let's not get into it. I guess.
Chat, let us know. Chat, there's no chat. Let us know in the comments if you're a different color than blue.
Yeah,
Because
there's
I'm
a
like,
fun questionnaire at the beginning.
Okay.
I need to get back into it. I played, as you can see, 0.4 hours because I got stuck and overwhelmed, and I gave up because I'm a real dum dum.
You're honestly probably not too much. I mean, maybe I played a little bit more than that. So I never played Everhood 1, but I dabbled in Everhood 2 a little bit during Next Fest. And I was like, okay, yeah, like this was actually pretty cool. You know, again, funky wonky game, unconventional, weird ARPG, rhythm game, definitely Undertale vibes. Again, I'm not really an Undertale fan, but I like Deltarune. I'm just weird. It's a personality failure
Quirky.
to have that be a take. It's like so gross. But it is my truth, so I have to be like, oh, I actually do that. But again, I think Undertale, I just kind of got, it was a bad setup for me. I was playing it just to do it for work because I had to do guide stuff on Deltarune.
Oh, that's.
So then I was using a guide for it. And also, I don't like shmup combat. I don't like dodging projectile. And then I was, oh, it's really the story. It's like, wait, but sometimes you got to play the game to get the story. Anyway,
No,
that's the whole
Jenna,
thing.
you're right. Undertale's mid as heck. It's fine.
Oh
Dang.
my god.
Oh my god. I'm putting that out.
Whoa.
Putting it.
I
Listen,
never
I
said
got the
that
bottom
was
of
mid.
the
mid.
game, mid as heck.
I
The only-
just said,
only
you
good thing
know,
about
We're
the
gonna
game
have
is
to
you
have
wanna
words.
You're
after
gonna
this.
have
I don't
words.
want to be
Games
2
to be good.
pixels tall, dodging 8 million things on the screen. I'm sorry. That's just me. That's just me.
That is valid.
know?
Tell me
What
you're not
Mike
filled
said-
with determination without telling me you're not filled with determination. That's all I have to
Exactly. Go
say.
ahead and throw
That's
the tomato.
right,
You know,
Haley,
it's like, I don't know. I'm talking to somebody. I forgot the spider's cookie 8 hours ago. Now I'm fucked. I don't know. I mean, that's, you know, y'all eating it up. That's cool. I'm not mad at it, but
Yeah,
that's
good
my
for you.
disclaimer on Undertale.
Okay.
Anyway, Everett 2.
Yep.
Yeah, I started playing this because I was really taken by the just sort of like I think the rhythm gameplay looks really cool and kind of unconventional. You're basically physically on, if you imagine like a Guitar Hero line kind of setup, but you're physically on it and you're sort of jumping around. And I'm like, I like platformers. Here's where I messed up. I experienced this demo through my colleague Leo Vader, who, Haley, you know Leo from MinMax and elsewhere outside of MinMax where he continues to exist. And I was like, yeah, this looks really fun. This is cool. It's fun. It's like artsy and weird. Yeah, let's go. Turns out Leo, much better gamer than me, because I got to like the first thing. And I was like, oh, I was like streaming it, I'm like, when Leo did this, he didn't have any problems. So that was humbling moment number 1. And then it kind of just continued from there, because I'm only like an hour and a half into the game. It's just frankly, even I like knocked it all the way down to like story to get through something. And I was still barely making it, like honest, humbling as hell. For me, this is a play and then bounce. This is one of those rare times where this actually is it's just not for me. I don't really have necessarily like an indictment on the game or the mechanics. I do think the story felt a little bit like a little too on the weird, but I wonder if that's because I didn't play 1. Maybe it was also kind of, you know, more in conversation with having played 1. But I was still like kind of down for it. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff happening. So this is one that like I kind of low-key do recommend it because I still think it's really interesting and cool. I just can't really play it. It's just a little too hard for me. I'm like, look, I can't transcend into here. And I know I could, again, knock it down to like story or easy or whatever. But even at that, it felt like it was still a little too hard. I'm like, you know what? I think we got to let other people have this. So yeah, I could not move in Everhood 2. It was way too hard.
Idea for Everhood and Everhood 2 bundled together, the Humbling bundle.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There we go.
That would actually be a great collection.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There must be
Someone
other
needs to do
ones.
Let's put it together, everybody. Haley, do you want to bring us home by talking about split fiction?
Yeah, I mean, I loved It Takes Two. That game's great. I played it with like 4 different people all the way through. Such a fun game. Split fiction, they did it again. They did it again. It's really
Done did
the
it.
same thing again, but it's still good and it's still fun. I think if this was any other genre, it would be like, oh, this again. But it's like never not fun to sit on a couch with somebody and play this style of game, and Hazelight's so good at it. And I also feel so spoiled to how good this game freaking looks. It's so pretty, like the graphics are great and the gameplay plays great. I think I only had one glitch where Mio got stuck up on top of a box hovering, so we had to restart that area. That happened once in the entire, it's a long game, I want to say 15-hour playthrough, something like that.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it's pretty long, but the ending's fantastic. The game's director really hyped up the ending. He was like, it's one of the best things of all time. And I was like, let's see. And then it happened. I was like, that's pretty good. It's a pretty good thing of all time. It's very fun, but I've already played it once with my best friend. I'm halfway through a playthrough with my partner, and I've also started another additional playthrough with my little sister. And I'm just like happy to. I just played it, and I'm still happy to like do it again. It's just fun, right? It's just, what if you just sat on the couch and had fun with a friend? That's what these games are.
What if a game was fun?
What if a game was fun?
What if?
Astrobot and Hazelight. Those are the two games these days. They're like, what if games were fun? There you go. These games.
She says on an indie podcast, I want to point out.
I think mechanically this game, this is not really spoiling anything, I don't think. I just finished like the first full chapter, like saga, whatever. So I'm there. I think mechanically this game is brilliant, and like it just feels so dang good to play. The writing and the characters are exhausting. I gotta be honest. I think the writing is fucking awful in this game.
You can be on your phone during the cutscenes, ass game. Yeah. But what can you do? It's so fun in the in-betweens that it's fine.
I think too, like it's background enough that it's like not that deep, because it's like this sounds like almost worse, but it's like we never thought it'd be good though, right? Like I don't know, it kind of makes it not as bad. I don't think this is true at all, and it'd be like the meanest question in the world to ask, because you'd have to think about how to ask it where you don't sound like a jerk. But it's like, is it kind of bad because they're bad writers, and that's why they've never been published? Like, part of me does wonder if they kind of are leaning into
like the Alan Wake,
the schlock. Because I do think there are elements where I'm like, this has to be like intentionally cheesy. Like I do think they kind of lean in and ham it up. Like I don't think it's. I refuse to believe that this, that people looked at this and said like, oh, this is eating, because it's like, it has like cheesy trope stuff. Like someone shouts run like every, 8 moments. Like, oh my God,
I don't mind. That's like very like how Until Dawn was.
Yeah. And for me, it was like the
Until Dawn had other issues.
Can you not talk to me? I'm obviously the grumpy one, and then it's like I'm the cheeky one who's from England.
Yeah.
Hello.
I know. I felt bad because I was the jerk, and I was like, damn. So my character's a bitch. All right, fuck you guys.
Mio's just like an asshole for no reason.
It's just like I already knew in the first 5 minutes they're gonna be best friends and come to terms by the end. You know what I mean? There's just like it's like watching a kid's show. It's like I can't be mad that I know the ending, because that's what this story is. It's just like
it's very tropey. Yeah. In its like narrative, it kind of this sounds really mean, but it kind of feels like it's the idea of a story, but then it didn't get like more filled in. It doesn't have like deeper, stuff to it in a lot of ways. But it also, I don't know. I think the big thing is it's a mechanics and a homage game almost. Like so much of the game 100%. Is pulling in like very intentionally other video
Winks
games, like the either in design or in like a quick visual nod. And there's a lot of like fun little things. I also really like the there's not like as many of them as there is in It Takes Two or like just kind of other games, but the few moments of quick exploration, like it's a pretty linear game, which I think works to its benefit. It's like quick and zippy, but there's one where you're in like a little kind of plaza area without giving into spoilers, and there's like little interactions you can have that are totally unneeded for progression. I think maybe one of them is tied to a trophy kind of thing. It's like pretty much just your own fun, and it was so cool to like mess with some of that stuff, and I think that really speaks to the joy of the world and the good construction of the mechanics and the level design, that it's like, oh my gosh, let me do this, okay, you do that, oh wow, look what's happening on your side. And it's just very like tight and good and fun.
It shows how good the game, like as hard as we are being on the story, it's like shows how good the gameplay is. If we're like, but whatever, who cares? Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
who cares? Go read a book. No,
minor part of it.
It has like it's a very different game in a lot of ways, but it felt to me a lot like Dave the Diver, where it's like I am going through playing Dave the Diver and there's like a bunch of different mechanics that kind of get thrown at me throughout the extent of the game. And did I care about the story of the Dave the Diver? No, but I played that game so hard because I was constantly like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And there's like a lot of good feedback. And that's what this game was to me. And is, because I haven't finished it yet, but it's like you have just like shiny things happening all the time and you're constantly getting that new feedback. And you're like, yeah, you don't really care what the story is because it doesn't matter, because you're excited about what next new thing is going to get introduced that you get to engage with. So yeah, I'm having a great time with it so far.
That's why I loved it. It's like, even when I got to a point where I was like, I don't love this mechanic, but I'm like, give me 7 minutes, it'll be something else. Like, you don't have to. Like, there was one part, me and my friend who were playing, we're like, oh, this part's kind of a slog. Oh well, and it's like, doesn't matter, because like by the time that we actually were even caring about the fact that we were bored, it was already something else. Which is like this, and the fact that I know that that's how these games work now, because they're so far into this kind of style of game, because this is so different from A Way Out and Brothers and stuff. It's like still innovative in those fun split screeny kind of ways, but it's just couch co-op, but it's almost like a Haze-like couch co-op is like its own genre now, like a rapid fire mechanic couch co-op.
Couch flow up. No, that sounds gross.
No.
You're kind of going between
couch glow up.
Sometimes it's big and sometimes it's small. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's unique about their style is that what you're doing is in conversation while not being a puzzle game, because usually when you do get like conversational co-op, thinking of like the Escape Academy team, the folks who did Operation Tango, those are like the freaking We Were Here or We Were There series or whatever of games.
Here or there, one of the
We Were
two.
Everywhere. It's like actually
Everywhere,
that is like the game. The naming convention is actually
We're
like
there.
really similar to that. Yes, we were there. Which some of those, like, oh my god, they eat down, and then one of them I was like, I don't like this one as much. But that franchise, oh my god, I loved it, because you don't get a lot of these, and that, but those are within puzzles, like you're working together to solve stuff and figure stuff out. This is like you're moving together, so it does have that, as much as I don't think we should call it couch flow up because that sounds kind of nasty.
No, I love
it does
it.
have like a flow to it and like a movement and momentum that you don't normally get while being in conversation with each other mechanically. Usually if there is movement and momentum, you're not in conversation. Like thinking of something like Mario 3D World. You're totally together, but it's not like you're, doing something and then it aids somebody else, 9 times out of 10, you're just throwing people off of a cliff in that game also. So it's just...
I bully my little sister in that game. That's what that game's for.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said that's the griefing game. And I'm like, not with who I play. Everyone I play with is nice. I don't know. We're just working together to get to the end.
It kind of reminds me, this is much more structured, but then when we were playing Flock, like last year together, we talked a lot about this element of parallel play. And like, I think that's what's kind of fun about this for me too, where it's like when you're in a co-op game and it's about solving puzzles and in certain, like maybe like Overcooked or something, there's like a certain element of pressure. I don't know. There's like a different feel to it versus this kind of co-op, which feels much more flowy to me and less pressure. And I really like it. And it's like a bridge between like that kind of co-op and then the more open thing of parallel play with Flock. And this is like in that in between that feels very good.
It's like playing on a jungle gym in your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get that on the back of the box, please?
Bones hurt because you're 30. Play Haze-Light Splickfinch, and it's like playing on a jungle gym.
I do want to commend them, being 4 games in, and especially now that they have Game of the Year under their belt. They're still doing the free friend pass thing.
Yes.
Like they
And
could
it's
have easily started charging for that.
cross-platform.
And cross-platform.
How did they get that approved? You have somebody playing on an Xbox
Yeah.
and somebody playing on a PS5 in the same game at the same time. I'm trying to think of any other games done that. And that, like at MinMax Ben did an interview with the game director and was like, how'd you get that approved? He's like, it wasn't hard. I was like, yeah, right. That wasn't hard. I bet
Bullshit.
that was hard as hell to get that organized.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for the games we've been playing this week.
Could I shout out a similar game that I want to make sure puts on folks' radars? Sorry, the screen went black earlier because I was just verifying the name. Keep your eyes
Yes.
on Midnight Murder Club coming out tomorrow.
Here's
'cause
Midnight
it's-
Murder Club.
Yeah, it does a
I
very
wanna play
similar
this.
thing, especially with the friend pass thing. I think only one person has to own it, and like the 4 other people could just play for free. Cross-platform between Steam and PlayStation, which is dope. So I think we should play this on
We
an
should
episode
play.
similar to
I was
Flock,
going to say
maybe.
we should play this together.
Yes.
All of us. I'll be the
This
first
is
one
the-
murdered.
The Knockout City devs. These devs rock.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure they get some love.
Cheers to them. Okay. That's the end of this week's council, everybody. We've made it. Thank you for everyone joining us. Haley, especially. Thank you so much for coming on to talk about everything. So smart. All the
thank
smart
you.
things.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Happy to talk about it.
Yeah. We are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The Indie Council has its own socials. Go check us out at the Indie Council on Blue Sky and a lot of other places. But this session is closed. Go play some indies.